What's up, Force family? Welcome back to Star Wars, guys. We're kicking off Season 3 strong in the Force, because guess what? We moved to video. That's right, so I hope you all enjoy this episode, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Good soldiers follow orders.
I love it. Welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast, which, if you're watching on YouTube, we finally have video going up right here. So maybe you're watching us for the first time. Maybe you're just listening to us. Either way, however you are taking in our podcast, we appreciate it. And bear with us as we get used to looking at each other, looking at the camera.
I feel a little overdressed. You guys said you were going to be wearing. I show up and they're just like shirts on. I could have done this like a 90-degree. There is no way Obi-Wan enjoyed this on Tatooine.
So we have to paint the picture for our audio only listeners. What a great intro. So we're your co-hosts as always. I am Mike, my brother Nate, and of course you know him well, Uncle. Of course, you know him well, Uncle. But you have never seen Uncle. Many people have probably never seen you. I have.
Stand up, Uncle. Take him back.
I am not a TikTok celebrity
Yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
But we will post this podcast on YouTube and rule the galaxy as Uncle and Son. Uncle and nephews.
Uncle and nephews.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, it's been a little while. We like to. Right. We were just talking before recording here. I like to consider this as the premiere of season 3 of the podcast. Season 1 was just me and Nate at the beginning. We appreciate all of you listeners who have been with us since the beginning.
Yep.
The production was a little bit lower. We had no lights.
We had no lights
yet.
Lights.
Production was a little bit lower. It's just the two of us. Then season 2. Uncle comes in. That's when the production goes up. The lighting gets better.
Yep.
But it was just still audio, so nobody knew that we were no longer podcasting in the dark.
That's right.
And then
Literally, we sat in the dark.
We literally sat in the dark.
Yeah.
Just us and the mics.
I didn't even know what they looked like for the first 9 podcasts. No, just kidding.
And then season 3, we have the video and robe.
Season 3
and robe. Yes. Could be a fun ongoing. So Uncle is in the robe. That is why he was talking about it being so hot. Only the robe.
The robe.
That's for the postcast. No, promise
that's beyond the paywall of the Patreon.
That won't happen.
No,
Don't happen.
No,
Family
it's not that type of a show. So yeah, we're excited to be back. We're excited to have the video, but we're also excited, as always, to dig into Star Wars. To pick up where we left off, we were doing the episode recaps of Bad Batch.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And recording this now on the day that we were recording this, Bad Batch is season 1 of Bad Batch is complete.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about.
That's right.
Discuss what we thought of the show, and also look forward to the future.
Do you want to tell them the reason for the main reasons
the break
for
between season 2 and season 3?
Yes, there is a little bit of news. So Uncle was getting fit for the robe.
Yep.
And it just took a while getting the measurements right.
My girth had increased.
So we went on.
Had to wait for that.
No.
Right.
So yes, I am a new father.
That's
so
right.
That was, yes. Thank you. Hold your applause. I can hear it coming. Thank you. You're too kind. But yes, my wife Abigail and I welcomed our first child, a little baby boy, Isaiah.
Yeah.
And he couldn't be on the podcast today. Unfortunately, he can't speak yet. But he's working on it. A lot of goo-goos and gagas. So
a lot of Grogu's and Gagas.
A lot of Grogu's and gagas. I can tell he already likes The Last Jedi, though, which is great.
That's good.
Really?
That's good.
Yeah,
we can keep him.
He sees the deeper meaning in it.
That's awesome.
So
That's good.
I like it.
he's a keeper.
Train up a child.
There you
Young
go.
Padawan.
So we thought, obviously, in taking a little bit of break, we'd wrap up now that Bad Batch is over. Mm-hmm. Wrap up some of our thoughts. Briefly go over some of those things that happened. We're assuming most people have already seen it, so this will be spoiler heavy. And maybe make some predictions for season 2, now that that's been announced, right?
Yeah.
And then go into some Star Wars questions towards the end. We'll end with some fun
Yes.
Star Wars questions that have no right or wrong answer, just open thoughts and talking about, breaking down these questions and where we think they can go. So first, we'll kick it off getting into Bad Batch. Does anybody remember the last part that we talked about with Bad Batch? I think it was around episode maybe 3 and 4, around there, right?
Yeah, I
was gonna say that was
predicted
the
that.
last.
Are we spoiling?
Oh yeah.
Spoiler,
I
if you're
predicted
watching this
that,
or listening.
that the Empire
Yep.
would destroy Camino in a ball of flame, and they would miraculously escape through a tunnel
Oh yeah.
did.
and come up through a
Right.
You did. So that Bad Batch bet, you made millions on.
You made millions on.
No, I didn't see that coming at all.
That was part of the lost cast. You'll never find that.
I don't remember where we were.
I think you're right, though. It was somewhere in between. I think it was between episodes 4 or 6.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there. Early on. It was earlier
Okay.
on.
So there's been a lot that's
Omega?
happened since then.
Yeah.
Yes, a
Right.
lot of I can't even remember. Bear with us for those
I
listening.
don't think
can't even
Omega had
remember
her bow yet.
I don't know
It
if
was
she had the
before
bow.
that.
Did
It
we
was
even
before
have the?
We didn't.
I'm not sure if we even had the full significance of Omega. If we had discussed that
No.
on the podcast, as
No.
far as
I remember we made
pure
predictions. We
clone
made
blood and
predictions,
being-
yeah.
yeah,
We had her being the super
Right.
clone. She could do everything.
yes,
We were waiting for her to start
yes.
lifting buildings. She was gonna be-
True.
We
She
thought
had-
she had all aspects
We thought
of,
that might
of
be,
the Bad Batch, that she had
right,
all
fell
of,
for it.
all of the
Right?
the
But she was
scent,
special
the
in
strength.
a different way.
Yes.
Special in
Yeah.
a, dare I say, a Grogu-esque way.
Grogu-esque.
Not necessarily just because, in a cloning way.
Yes.
Yes.
Grogu is a Force user, so they want
Omega.
to clone him.
Right.
Omega, though, you
Alpha.
you're
Alpha?
saying he's saying Greek letters. We should just let him go. What are you saying?
Keep going.
Alpha, we found out, which I don't think we recorded.
Delta.
Delta.
I thought of another.
That's right.
Gamma.
No,
Yeah.
Alpha
Oh.
and
I
Omega.
got like 26 of those.
That's right. That's right. Well,
No, we didn't know that. I mean, because we found out that you all probably know this. Alpha was Boba Fett's code name, right?
right.
Yes, it's a deep
Right.
cut. So Alpha, and
Omega.
Omega.
They're
Alpha
as
and
close as you
Omega.
can get. I thought it was cool when we found out that she was older than the.
Yeah.
That was a cool.
I like
Yeah,
them
she
directly
didn't-
talking
yeah.
about it too.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's
And she's
okay.
more of a, at least as far as we know, I guess, pure is probably not the right word, but
Yeah.
more of a
yeah.
pure clone in the sense that she's not like rapidly aged like the other clones. They're
That's
not
right.
like sped up in aging or anything. That's
Or,
why.
or is she derived from anything but the original? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
That's why she's so
Right.
valuable. Is the further the
version
clones
one.
of a clone of a clone, it starts
Yeah.
the quality starts diminishing. But when
Yeah.
you're direct ties to Django /
Right.
Boba
Right
himself in that inner circle, all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
like, this is the key to a
Right.
whole nother army. Not just
Right.
we can keep going. That this is the key to starting the whole thing
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So there's a lot to discuss here. We can just
Yeah.
go big topics. We can discuss
go some-
overall thoughts of the show too,
Yeah.
of the season. Because I know we made like some predictions early on when the show was announced. We did
Some
a lot of
Bad Batch
podcasts
bets.
about that. Some Bad Batch bets.
Yeah.
Overall, about the time period early on, we talked about how all three of us were very excited to finally just get some post Order 66 empire building. That was one of the things we
Yes.
were excited about.
Right.
I know we talked about it right before we started recording the podcast tonight. I think Uncle, you had asked, had we ever even seen the gap bridged at all
yes.
from the Empire's point of view? Like we have the Rebels side of when you have the show Rebels and you have the building of the rebellion.
Right.
You have Solo, the movie Solo is in there, but that's more about the Han Solo and some
Yep.
of like the crime syndicates. But we never really got immediately what happens after
right. 66.
the turn, the Order 66.
Oh.
And Uncle threw off the hood of his robe. So,
And the big one that I think I love the best is the transition from. We talked about this. From clones to TK troopers. Like,
yes.
yes.
ooh, that explains a lot. That was cool.
And how
was
about
cool.
so let's stick right there. I love, I just love especially in the last few episodes of season 1 of Bad Batch, how even more clones are catching on at the different
Yeah.
sites of
Yeah.
what's
I didn't
going
see
on
that.
here? This is not, and how they're being forced out, and then how
Yep.
eventually they give the order from his name's escaped me, but the Imperial officer
Right.
who's like
Right.
essentially, obviously, the big spoiler, the big end of the wiping out of Camino is
Right.
a signal to clone troopers alike of you're done.
Right.
We don't need you
Yeah.
anymore. We need you for the takeover.
Yeah.
Now we'll get our people in there and we're going to recruit. But yeah, the one episode too with Crosshair going out on the mission with the other non-clones and seeing the difference in how he did not like listening to these
Right.
guys and they're all smug and arrogant and already these are not the good soldiers
No.
follow orders type. These are greed empire that's already
Yeah.
That's right.
it's already Crosshair and alike, though. Even the other clones in the last couple episodes of that's why some of them are starting to turn
Yeah.
against the Empire. Like, this is not on Ryloth. The whole thing that happened on Ryloth too. Like, this is not what we thought the Empire is. They're not
Right.
not the symbol of good and order in that sense. They're order, but with the boot on your
Right.
neck and the thumb on you,
Right.
keeping you down. They
Yeah.
try to rule by fear.
I also found it interesting too. You mentioned Ryloth when the clones. You said the clones, other clones were turning against the Empire.
Yeah,
Because you think of it as Order 66, we're just going to completely obey everything. But Order 66 was really to hunt down and kill the Jedi, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if they got there, one of the clones that was turning had mentioned, we came here and did what we were told to do. We came here, we took over, we got control here. But now what's happening, we don't agree. Like,
That's right.
It was like he followed the order, they did the order, but now it's like that trigger, the chip, that following that order now is like we did that. So now it's just, am I just going to continue following orders, or like
Now we're just
it's
being
almost like he's
nasty.
not locked in as much anymore, and he had the freedom to make that choice.
Well, Order 66, part of it was built in the fact that the Jedi had betrayed.
I was just going
Right.
to say that
Right.
that was the propaganda. That was the lie. Was that the Jedi were trying to take over.
That's
We
right.
have to stop them because they betrayed us
Yeah. That's
right.
first, and now we're just
and
defending
it was built
ourselves.
into that
Yeah.
chip.
Yeah.
But now when they are being asked to do things that clearly are contrary to what
Yeah,
these are not,
Right.
we're not defending.
we're taking over
anymore.
whole cities now, and
And,
innocent
So it makes
people.
sense
and not
they have
having
to
to
go.
do with the Jedi either.
Right.
With Hera, which I predicted, of course.
Hera, Syndulla.
Totally
Great,
didn't predict Hera.
Those are
Great
great
connection.
episodes.
Oh,
But yeah,
love
the
it.
cameos, I mean, it's a little tangent, but the cameos that were all throughout this whole show is, of course, Filoni-verse, right? Is
Right.
that what
We
we're
all
calling
predicted Rex. I mean, that was
it?
one.
We knew Rex,
Yes.
yeah, we knew Rex.
No Ahsoka, which I
Yeah.
like though because as
Yeah.
much as we
Yeah,
love
we don't need to.
Ahsoka, we're like, okay, we're getting an Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
They already
That's
just had Ahsoka. We don't.
Right.
It's one of those things you don't want the galaxy to feel
almost
too
makes-
small, where every
right.
single place you're bumping
Oh,
into.
look,
It
there's
almost
another
makes me
one. Yeah.
more like ready for the Ahsoka show because I'm like, well, what has she been doing?
What's
why
going
why
on?
was she and Rex not together the whole time?
Right.
What happened to where Rex was able to go and felt comfortable leaving her when at the time it was just those two
Yeah.
against the world. I mean, basically. So I don't know. Interesting, but
You guys' dreams are going to come true with Ahsoka. We're going to get full on throne.
Yeah.
Just has to. Well, I
Yeah.
think doesn't Vader have to come into Bad Batch? I mean, aren't we moving in that like?
Yeah, eventually it
Seems
has
like
to.
Yeah.
it has to be. Maybe not, but they've
Right.
pulled out Tarkin's too. Has not been as prominent.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've. What's the other
So
guy's
maybe
name?
not.
The other guy that's taken over like the role in Bad Batch. The
That's
Empire
what I was
guy.
just saying. His
Can't
name
remember
just
his name.
escaped me. The
You guys can
Imperial
correct
officer.
us. You
Yeah,
can
it's
find
the
it. You
new-
can find it for us. I don't know, but
the new Imperial officer he's got that Tarkin in him though.
He
does.
The smug.
But
I feel nothing.
here's the
seeing
thing, you
Camino
mentioned-
destroyed. Just
yeah, no, you're right. And you
How about-
also, Uncle, mentioned.
you may fire when ready.
Yeah,
Ah, when were they?
And Tarkin gave. I
Yeah.
love that they threw that in there.
Exactly.
they did throw that in
Didn't
there.
mean to interrupt you, Nate, but
No.
it just hit me.
Ah,
after
No,
I
you're good.
forgot.
I'm glad you did.
What?
You may fire when ready. No, I was gonna say
Your rebel friends later.
mentioning Thrawn.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the end of Bad Batch season 1. The last thing we see, we start seeing these like Republic Commando type troopers with the glowing, straight out of the game, basically a reference from that. Troops watching over the new cloning facility, wherever they're at, wherever they're located. They move the cloning stuff after destroying Camino, right? They kept the Kaminoan that loved Omega. They're basically keeping her as a slave. Because she clearly didn't really want to. It sounds like she got caught or
Yep.
something, right? So they're forcing her because she's the scientist, which they have use for. They don't have use for a politician. They made that very clear.
Yep.
And so this is what makes me feel like we're moving towards Thrawn. Because the way it lines up is if Thrawn really has been in the shadows working with the Emperor or the Empire the whole time, then, and this is part of the Star Wars universe that we haven't seen in the movies yet, it would make sense that he would have some hand in that, someone that level in the Empire, that the Emperor would be like, I want you controlling this and staying out of the war, controlling, like you are watching over, controlling, strategizing for the cloning stuff, because this is my most important thing. And I want someone like Thrawn watching over this after, what had happened with him. So it makes sense to me that this could all line up with Thrawn getting in there, whether it's season 2 of Bad Batch or Ahsoka show or any of the shows. Mando, I mean, it could be anything. But I feel like he is going to have some hand in this cloning facility. He's going to have, or at least tied in there somewhere.
And even though those are 2 very different time periods, too, because the Bad Batch, it would be young Thrawn.
Right.
True.
And obviously, Ahsoka, the Ahsoka show is end of Empire.
Right, end of Empire.
End of Empire, end of Rebels.
But, yeah.
Thrawn.
You're right.
Which the...
that's where I thought you would see him, because that's
Yeah.
where we kind of left.
Yeah.
She ended with that. That's where she...
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Which there's...
You're right.
Which is where they set it up with... She even says Thrawn. I mean, she says Thrawn's name.
right.
That's
Well, yeah. We know she's looking for Thrawn at that
looking
time
for Thrawn,
period.
and I believe I saw this was reported. So it was reported by the Hollywood Reporter this week. A little breaking news. Casting.
Yeah. The voice.
Casting. There's casting going on for a Thrawn himself, but there's
Ezra,
announced
right?
that Sabine. They're looking for Sabine,
and Ezra, I think too, right?
And Ezra too.
I saw
but
Ezra
they
was,
announced
the Aladdin.
it was a. Let me think of who was it that did. It was some story for. It was buried in like a story for Disney Plus. It was talking about like a like the Loki show or something like that. And in the story was written about they've been Disney Plus has been doing great with they had WandaVision, they had Falcon Winter Soldier, they had Loki. Also, Disney confirms that they're currently in production on these shows, this, and the Ahsoka show with no date announced, but Disney has confirmed that, and it starts talking about the casting and so that Ahsoka will be back, and they're currently casting for one of Star Wars' favorite characters, Sabine Wren. I was like, well, that was a spoiler, and it was like not the headline at all. It was in this article,
like everybody knows that,
and everyone was like, whoa, that was.
We've been predicting her coming around sometime.
It made sense. No one was surprised by it, but it was like, oh, that was. I don't know if they knew that was a spoiler right there. Yeah, they confirmed something.
Wow.
So I think you're all on.
Yeah.
I mean, Thrawn's coming.
I think
Live
it'd be
action
cool.
Thrawn is coming.
I'm totally spitballing. You know how I just start thinking. I think it'd be cool if we see that younger Thrawn and he has a hand in this cloning stuff and he does something with strategy or saving something, and that's what kind of sets him on this path of rising up in the ranks in the Empire and becoming the Thrawn that we see in Rebels. That would be kind of cool. Like we see the younger Thrawn, and that's what kind of started his career in the Empire, ranking up.
And I've read a few of the current Thrawn, Timothy Zahn new Thrawn novels, and they're about that stuff.
Really?
They're about the Empire finding Thrawn.
Oh, wow.
Out with the Chiss ascendancy, and he's with his own people, and then he's found in this stranded thing, and he's a young guy, and he's brought up, and it's all about his manipulation and climbing, but also how he's got like a set of morals that's different than like there's a respect about Thrawn that's different than how people feel about Tarkin. Tarkin's super greedy. Thrawn is brilliant and like does stuff, but it's not like. It's very interesting the way that in those books too that he's portrayed as like, is he kind of good, but he's also really bad? Versus like you hear Tarkin for 2 seconds, you're like, that dude's
he's
pure evil.
Tarkin was designed to be for kids to go, that's a bad guy.
Yeah,
It's real easy.
Right.
Bam, that's a bad guy.
There's no mixed. Yeah, there's no
I
complexity
like the ones
there.
where there's a code, like the mafia always had like that.
Right.
There's a code there. You can almost kind of respect a little bit.
It's almost like
this is how
it's like you're not going to kill an unarmed man. It's like that type of thing.
Right.
Like you're a murderer, you're going to go around killing people, but if you're unarmed, that's not. It's almost not as enjoyable as a victory. Like when you're evil.
Somebody's family. You don't like that kind of stuff.
You may fire when ready on that entire planet.
What?
It's like having it. Yeah, like you're mentioning the
Response
code.
remote for a proper demonstration.
But Thrawn, I feel like you can kind of see that in Thrawn a little bit. Like he's like no, we're not going to do this strategy because that's like, I don't know. He enjoys playing the game. He enjoys playing the game a little bit.
Moriarty mentality.
It is. It's exactly Moriarty.
That's too simple.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's not elegant enough.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so many things with
Cool.
Bad Batch. We're excited, and then obviously
Cad
for those
Bane,
of
I'm
you who
so
watched,
glad.
Oh
Cad
my
Bane
gosh.
did
so
not-
glad you brought it up. One of my
He's
favorite
still there.
episodes.
Oh man,
So
That was a
great.
great reveal that
Versus Finnick?
he's still out there.
Finnick.
Uh-huh.
How about her? Her whole arc in Bad Batch was cool too. Seeing a young
right?
Finnick getting involved, and she seemed
How about her
as an
protecting?
assassin kind of nice.
Yeah,
How about her
She was
protecting?
protecting.
she was working on the
Omega?
good side.
She was
trying
taking
to
the
bring her
job.
back.
She
That's
was,
right.
yeah.
She was taking the job, and she was trying to do the job.
The bounty hunter that the Kaminoans sent to.
Yeah,
Cad Bane was there to kill her.
Yeah.
Fennec
was
was
there
there
to
to
get out.
save her.
Yeah.
love it.
Pretty cool. Which makes sense. That's what made me wonder if there's a connection between Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, or like
Yeah.
I know
Early
they-
on.
I don't know if they've crossed paths. I know there's how that goes, but then it also made me wonder: don't we have to see at some? Wouldn't it make sense somewhere to see Omega in the Boba Fett somehow series?
Well, what's
a
exciting
live
is
To
action.
bring brother and sister back together
the
somehow.
closest
crazy.
live action series we have is Book of Boba Fett this
Right.
December.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're looking at the date and you're like, we're almost September now. This is flying.
I
Like
know,
it's
it'll be here.
It's going to be here soon.
Now if she wasn't that, she'd be a lot older, right?
Well, she is.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Omega?
It would have to be.
Yeah.
It
Omega.
would have to
Yeah.
be future, which means probably not at the beginning. I would be surprised first season, but second season, as
Yeah,
Bad
yeah.
Batch bears itself out, and they show them.
And there's ways to work
Sure.
around
Sure.
the casting. I'm not sure how old Bo-Katan is.
Yeah, there's
Right.
Like she still
Star
looks
Wars
fresh.
is Star Wars.
Katie
There's-
Sackhoff looks pretty much I mean, Bo-Katan, who Katie Sackhoff voiced Bo-Katan in Clone Wars and
not-
Rebels,
yeah.
and the character
Yeah.
was actually even created to look like her
yeah.
back then. Kind of based on her, I believe the behind the scenes is that based similar on her Battlestar Galactica character that she had starred in.
right.
Yeah.
And that they were like, we want a warrior who looks like her. So they made this and she voiced it. And they're like, it's
Yep.
supposed to look like her.
Yep.
Then when they went to cast, they go, she still looks great. Let's get her and actually do the exact character. Where she's supposed to have aged a lot more than I
Yes.
think than she has.
Right.
But again,
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows how clones age? Not Bo-Katan, but when talking Omega.
Yeah, and who knows how
see.
Mandalorians age? Are they the same as? I mean, they're human, but are they? I mean, you could Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
Obi-Wan aged a lot under those
That's
twin
true.
sons of Tatooine.
I know why now.
That's true.
You know? The heat
It'll
is
put on
unbearable.
50 years, right? Just wearing this in the hot in the twin suns. I mean, it's double
In
death.
the twin son.
Everyone should be wearing cutoff shirts and short shorts at most. You know, maybe
know.
just shirtless the whole time. It's so
Who's he
hot.
hiding from? The crazy old man. He's just a crazy old wizard. Wizard.
Crazy old wizard.
Oh, he's a wizard.
Interesting.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, it's just a crazy old wizard." Wait a minute. Now I definitely want to go see him.
So good.
That was just a crazy old man.
Who makes some strange. Is
Right.
he an elephant wizard? What is going on there?
Well,
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
so. Real quick
Bad
before
Batch.
before we move on, maybe from wrap up. We'll wrap up our bad batch. We made the joke before. Bad Batch and Beyond.
Bad Batch and Beyond.
We have Bad Batch. We have clones, and we also have
Beyond.
Beyond, which is like soaps and mattresses
Towels and toiletries.
towels. Yeah. If you need a wedding gift, get it. It's on the registry right there. Any final predictions, final feelings, thoughts over
yeah.
one, either predictions for season 2 or just what you thought of it? Was it what you expected? Is
Yeah.
it? What are some thoughts on
Yeah.
Bad Batch before we move on to some of our questions we have?
Sure. Before getting to some of the predictions, I will say one thing I really liked about the show, which they started very early on. You could tell we made predictions about them hashing out that relationship, but Hunter and Omega's relationship throughout the whole show is great.
Oh yeah.
There, and then Hunter towards the end, one of the last handful of episodes where now he gets captured. She's like, "We have to go back," and he's like, "No, I can't order them to come back for you." He's like, "I can't do that."
Yeah.
Hunter just seems. I mean, he's such a cool character, but obviously their chemistry too is part of what makes that connection so much stronger with her connection with the group.
Yeah.
It's not just the group, and you see her grow with Wrecker too. They become
Right.
closer, eating popcorn together.
See,
The little things like that.
It makes it different when she's the older sister.
Yes.
Totally changes the vibe. Mm-hmm. She's not the younger sister.
No.
She's the older sister. She's not going.
Right.
She doesn't want to watch out for them because they're her big protectors. She's their protector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how big sisters.
It's
think.
like it really
She consistently
changes the whole vibe.
Yeah.
consistently saves them
Multiple
mission
times,
after
yeah.
mission. Even
That's
though
what big
this is
sisters
an
do.
A team meant
Yep.
for missions. They're dominant out.
Yep.
And they
Right.
talk about how they're so much better than the regs and all of this stuff, and they work as a team. All of a sudden, one piece of their unit, Crosshair, leaves, and that team starts. The pieces don't fit as well together, and now they don't have that person watching their back. Crosshair used to be up there, and now you get Omega, who watches them from a totally different perspective of like, I'm here watching out for all of you emotionally as well. Like, I see a friend of mine struggling. It doesn't matter if good soldiers follow orders. I'm going back for him. I'm going back for Hunter. I'm going back. And it just the connection there is on a whole
There's a
different level.
parallel I think is interesting that the young, innocent Omega is actually the elder who is the emotional protector and guardian of the batch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grogu is the young, innocent youngling who is actually the elder,
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
who is the protector and guardian, and who actually brings about the redemption.
Totally.
Yeah.
Who saved who there?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
It feels
Exactly.
it feels
The
feels
connection.
similar.
It's very
totally
similar.
does.
It's interesting.
Very similar.
She pulls them, even though they made their own decisions as far as not going along with Order 66. They all of a sudden had no. Which is one of our predictions, or one of our things we're excited about with the show in general, was Order 66 is going to happen. Then what? What
Then
is their
what?
purpose?
Right.
What do they do? And she all of a sudden gives them purpose as far as, okay, we can be involved in these things, but we're going to do things out of compassion. We're not going to, which is early in the season. I love one of the episodes where they all of a sudden find out, they all of a sudden become mercenaries and they make money. And they're like, wait, so we make,
This doesn't-
and they're like,
right.
this is interesting. Is this who we are now? And
Yeah, they're trying to
and they
figure
have
out their
these-
identity.
She's kind of the moral
discussions.
compass too. She's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Exactly.
keeping them on. No,
Like,
we
well,
can't do that. We have to do this.
Yeah. I also want to say too is
Yeah.
like, aside from just the emotional stuff too, they show her her physical light shed on the Bad Batch too, because they started out the whole show. She's always been, I want to go on the mission. I want to go on the mission.
Yeah.
You need I want to help. I can help you out.
Right.
And as the show goes on, Hunter and the group allow her to be more and more involved until the very end. Crosshairs makes a joke that says, we're going to let her make the plan.
Not
It
only
literally
is
got
she
to the
going
point where
along-
now she's making the plan for the group.
That's right.
Where at first it was like, you can't come. Then it's like, okay, well, now you can come because you have a bow and you can help fight in
That's
this.
right.
Or you can, sneak around because you're little and you
better
can
one.
get past them and do that. To the point where now she's fighting with a bow. She's strategizing for
Yeah.
them. All that stuff. Now she's making the plan for them at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like, and to the point where even Crosshair's like, we're going to let her. And they're like, you got a better idea?
She's the brains of this outfit.
So I like how that also grew along with the emotional side. She physically
Yeah,
was
that's
more and
true.
more involved on the missions throughout the group.
Absolutely.
Too. It was really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I have a prediction for season 2.
Bad Batch bets.
I'm gonna throw one out
bets.
there.
Bad Batch bets.
We see Boba Fett
Ooh.
in season 2.
Ooh, I like that prediction.
How much am I putting down on that?
Oh yeah, you gonna hedge your bets? Ooh.
Ooh.
I'll give
How many Bad Batch bucks?
Bad
you're gonna
Batch bucks.
bet on my
I give
bet.
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I think I agree with you.
All right.
Bad Bucks.
I'm going to. You said 8 out of 10? I'd say 9 out of 10 Camino cloning credits.
Ooh. That's even a higher value in the,
Higher.
in the other
Especially
end.
nowadays.
Oh,
Well, maybe they're lower
rare.
because they don't. I
Yeah.
guess Camino doesn't take much
It's like
currency.
Confederate
That's
dollar.
true.
That's
true.
Out of date, yeah.
It's out of date.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Calamari
I like
flam.
I think I didn't get that far yet. Actually, if you got a prediction, you can go.
Prediction? I do think that's. I think that's natural progression of the. They went when you talk about all the cloning stuff and all around. We saw essentially everything, even mentions of Jango Fett. We saw everything except for Boba Fett.
Except for Boba Fett.
Now the Boba Fett show happens, Book
Right.
of Boba
Right.
Fett. I'm really curious and really interested in one. I think that I don't know if anyone has any idea how this Book of Boba Fett's going to be structured. Book of Boba Fett could
We don't even know
be.
what it is.
We don't know what it is yet. We don't know if it's just
I have a theory on
pick
that.
up.
Did we talk about that?
I'm not sure if it was on air or off air, so have at
You want
it.
to hear my theory?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in a robe. You got to listen to him.
So
You have to. He's wise.
Right, that's right. This is a good theory. So it's the Book of Boba Fett, okay? I think it could be a series of adventures that Boba Fett has gone on and engaged in. And they all kind of weave together, but it's the Book of Boba Fett. So we can tell stories when he's young, we can tell stories
Ooh.
how this happened, and they weave together, but they're not necessarily chronological. That was my thought.
What if the
because it's
first
the-
episode is
Because the Book of Boba Fett is
Omega
a very
and
odd kind
it's
of
a,
way
what
to
if the
say it.
first episode's a young Boba, young Omega,
Yeah,
Alan Camino, showing where it all began.
right.
That's the beginning of the book. Interesting.
They do
It would
this
allow you to
entire-
flash back. It would allow you to go sideways in
It's a-
time.
and we've seen
That's
this
true.
is
I like that.
Book of Boba Fett is being
It's a new way to make a show, and nobody's done that yet.
Favreau, Filoni, these guys are involved in it,
Mm-hmm.
and we've already seen Mando has used flashbacks.
Yeah,
They've gone to young Mando before,
they have.
young Din. So there's no reason why they couldn't do some young Boba that they could.
And we've got Visions coming
Yeah.
out, which is going to be a collection of stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's
True.
I don't know.
I actually think it's funny because when they announced it, it was the name. I remember reading out
interesting,
loud
yeah.
the Book of Boba Fett. Like it's just a very interesting. It's a very specific way to put it. Like
It
it's
felt like you were.
it's not an accident.
It felt like the adventures. That's what when I
Totally.
heard.
Yeah.
I thought
Indiana
the
Jones
Adventures
Chronicles.
Of,
It's
right,
young
where
Indiana
it's
Jones. It's exactly what
You're
it
right.
is.
collection
Yeah.
of events and
That's
stories.
what it feels
You're
like.
right.
This
So
is
You're
my
right.
life.
And it feels like that's what they're setting up to. It totally feels like it could be this. The Calrissian Chronicles.
Yeah.
It feels like
Yeah.
that.
There you
Which
go.
is I've heard some people speculate that if and when that Lando show ever gets made, that it could be a mixture of some Donald Glover and some Billy D because they could
Young and
totally do it's the Calrissian
Right.
Chronicles and this is
Absolutely.
young, this one's old, this is a way
That'd
to
be
mix
great.
them.
For sure.
That'd be great.
And with Boba Fett, let's face it, one of the things everyone loves, one of the things that captured everyone back in 80 and 83 about Boba Fett is he's so cool and there was so much left up to the imagination that everyone went and took their Boba Fett action figures and they'd send them on these different adventures.
That's right.
And made their own
Right.
things. This is Favreau, who we all know the reason he openly talked about, the reason he made Mandalorian was at
because he was playing with Boba
initially,
Fett.
he was told hands off of Boba Fett.
Right.
You can do anything else you want.
Yeah.
Hands off of Boba Fett. We have other plans with him. And then after seeing what Favreau did and seeing
Our plans change. You can
So we
have
can
it.
add
Robert
20 million
Rodriguez come in.
subscribers with this show.
they said, well, okay, maybe we're not holding this on for something
more
greater
like
than
70
this.
million
Yeah.
subscribers.
Right.
Then all of a sudden they
90
see
million.
They're bust since that
they
show.
see Rodriguez come in and see how he directs Boba Fett, and they
Right.
go, maybe we have the people for
I
Boba
like
Fett.
it.
Let's go
Right.
ahead and do this.
Right.
You know, we've talked about this before.
It's gonna be epic
I mean,
adventures.
I think the movies now are 2-hour ads. That's what I think. When they put out a movie, it's a 2-hour ad for. It's $100 million ad for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Because like they talk about Jungle Cruise, it was
Yeah.
a flop financially, but if it drives people to Disney Plus
Or to the parks.
or to the parks or whatever,
Yeah.
they'll spend more than that on advertising,
Sure.
and they got a movie. I mean,
And
Sure.
you've got The Rock who's going to promote it until it
and
makes
you
enough
got
money.
the Rock.
Yeah.
That's
Who
right.
won't let it flop.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
little
Part of that too is the time. I mean, the timing right now too is
To build
I just
off
don't
that,
think
though,
they even
movies.
like. If
Yeah.
it makes 100, if they spend 200 and it makes 100, they spend $100 million advertising Disney Plus. That seems like
Right.
a win to me.
And to build
That's
off
a
of that,
0.5% of the.
I heard someone discussing this the other day. One, I think Star Wars will always have a presence in the theaters. That's where it began. That's where we love. That's why we all fell in love with Star
There'll be a
Wars.
place.
The way that they're able, and we've talked about this in previous podcasts before, but the dynamic of the release of things on Disney Plus, Marvel has just shown what they're able to do.
For sure.
That you can't produce and release movies. Even Marvel, in its absolute prime pre-pandemic, they came out with movie, and were able to do it. They just came out with 3 Disney Plus shows in a 4-month period,
That's
5-month period.
That's right.
You can't do that with movies
Yeah.
because you can't promote it. You can't
True.
do all of that stuff. But the way that they did it and the way that they're able to keep the same Marvel continuity of what made Marvel so special and why Kevin Feige is so big over at Marvel was this sets up this. This connects to this.
Yep.
This is going to have a huge payoff if you
That's
are
right.
patient, and then you get to the Avengers. Then you
And
get
look
to
at us
this.
now. We're all
People
waiting for the
love
Spider-Man
that.
trailer.
They love
I mean,
Exactly.
it's
And then
yeah.
now what they're doing with Mando, and this all ties back to Bad Batch also, is we had Mando. Okay, this is the first thing, and all of us were like, really? They're going to start from scratch with a man? Like, their big Disney
Yeah.
Plus thing is not a Luke Skywalker thing. It's not anything to do with that. It has very little even to do with the Jedi initially.
That's right.
Season 2 got into that a little bit more, but we're going new character. He looks like Boba Fett, but he's not Boba Fett. Go. And then Favreau
drove-
does what he does, and you go, oh,
It drove Disney Plus. That
goodness.
was the first thing.
It was
Yeah.
a big
Only
thing. The
original
reason
content.
Marvel's
Yeah.
doing so great on Disney Plus is because of what Mando did right off the bat.
That's right.
But it's okay. But it sets this thing up in this time period. But here's this element of cloning. Why? Because our first thing we're going to do on Disney Plus from the animated side is Bad Batch, which is all about the clones. You guys love Clone Wars. It's going to tie into this.
to say they don't
There's
have
so many
a
things that
plan.
they have that are playing off of one another.
So
And then, like
far
you
from
said,
the
Ryan
truth.
Johnson doesn't have a plan. Like
It's
that
the whole
is-
thing. Far
from the
right,
truth.
right. Of course he does.
One final thought on the whole Disney
Yeah.
Plus versus the big movies. Think of just when we're talking about things that are in the pipeline for Disney Plus, but in specifically Star Wars. Man, it's hard. I mean, I love the movies. I get so excited for the movies. I am so excited for the Kenobi series. Like,
my
how
gosh,
excited are you
dude.
to see?
Oh, my goodness.
Especially when you're getting
might
the
be
people
looking forward
back
to that the
anyways.
most.
That's the most for me.
Would you rather
Yeah.
get a 2 hour and 15 minute, even a 2.5 hour Kenobi movie, or would you rather get 6 to 8 hours of Kenobi
Right.
with Hayden Christensen and then being able to tell that
With the
story?
build up from
For
week
sure.
to
That's
week.
what you want.
Oh,
I want the
man,
longer
for
form.
sure.
I want the
more,
build up from
especially
week
like
to
that.
week where we can podcast and break things down and talk about it. Like that is more
Absolutely.
enjoyable than watching it all and be like, all right, here it is, and then not forgetting about it, but like moving on and be like, all right, well, what's next?
That's right.
The next week.
I mean,
That's
what's
right.
what's
Following
been the consistent critique of the prequels and the sequels is people said,
You
how
go
did this
deep
happen? That
enough.
felt so rushed. Everything
so
was surface
rushed.
level. Or
The
then
sequels.
Exactly.
some of the
So
sequel
rushed. 2
stuff.
hours.
Why does
especially
Ray
when you
have?
get
Why
to
is
the-
Ray so strong?
Why is it so
Where'd she
strong?
come
Why
from?
This? How? Oh, all of a
2
sudden
hour
she
movie.
trains in
Right.
this. We only have
Right.
2 hours. We can only
Exactly.
do this. If you have the whole,
Right.
you saw what George was able to do with the Clone Wars.
Oh
When
my
you go
gosh.
Clone Wars, Attack
Yeah.
of the Clones versus the Clone Wars show.
right.
Attack of the Clones for me, when we had our ranking, was my lowest of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars might be my highest animated show.
It's so
Like,
good.
unbelievable.
Right.
So
It's
good,
so
yeah.
good.
Wow.
So
good.
there's just so much.
Yeah.
There's so much to be excited about because
That's right.
there's. I mean, I wrote down the lineup of what Disney Plus, what Star Wars has announced officially and unofficially. With
Yeah.
they announced Diego Luna posted today that Cassian Andor, the Andor series, has
Finished.
wrapped production, has wrapped filming.
Mm-hmm.
That's and they had initially announced that that's coming out sometime 2022. Kenobi is finished filming. They announced who was it? This was funny because we've joked around about how Loose Lips Grief Karga
Right.
how
Loose lips.
he was doing an interview and he was talking about how he's so excited for Mando season 3. He's like, oh yeah, we're starting filming in just a couple weeks, and I'm both behind the camera and in front of the camera on this season. We're like, well, he just announced that.
All right.
One, Grief Karga's back.
That could be
We've
a
got-
good podcast. Which actor is more likely to get in trouble with the mouse
Yes, yeah.
for spoiling
Yeah, exactly.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Major, yeah. Who says, "Oh man, I fought so many times, I broke so many dark sabers." We're like, "Whoa!"
That's right. Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, of course.
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor's, and we talked about that off air the other day of Ewan McGregor talking about, I loved filming for the new Kenobi series. I walked past some stormtroopers. He's like talking. I walked past some stormtroopers, which I realized I've only been around clone troopers. I've never been. I had walking past them. People are like, shh.
Right.
Don't
funny.
don't give too much away.
Right. Yeah.
But it's there's just
There's so much
Kenobi
coming.
show is coming at some point. Mando season 3. Book of Boba Fett's coming this December. Star Wars Visions is coming September 21st.
I'm
this
excited
year,
for that. That was
Right.
cool.
which is cool. That's its own different
Yeah.
thing. Which is I like the individual
Yeah.
stories.
I'm
There's no
excited to see
pressure
that.
on them. Do whatever you want.
Here's the
Right.
question. So you're gonna get a project, the Star Wars project, okay? Remember what when he said, "Don't Disney Plus me"? Remember that?
Yeah, John Boyega.
Is Ryan Johnson now thinking, "Man, I kind of wish I had a
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus thing. This sounds like a good deal. I can tell my story and keep it going. I feel like I'm going to be handcuffed making a."
and Ryan
Trilogy.
John
Johnson
Boyega probably would have wanted that too to get his character more hashed
would.
out.
and anyone who
Because
saw
one
the
of his
details.
criticisms was they did my character wrong.
Okay,
And anyone who saw the
Yeah.
details of Ryan Johnson's Knives Out deal with Netflix,
Oh,
he's
man.
not
Gosh.
above. He's not above streaming whatsoever.
No.
He signed like a $480 Netflix deal for the rights to just do it on Netflix.
it's
crazy.
unbelievable.
It's
Crazy.
I know it.
Like, that's not even for
Yeah.
how
I don't
much
even
they're
know
going to make on
what
the
he
movie.
has
They don't even
yet.
know what he has.
Right.
Just to make it with us. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
fine. We can do
Netflix
it.
just throws out money. I will say one prediction that I actually had for season 1 didn't come true for Bad Batch. Mm-hmm. Inquisitors. I had made the prediction that we would come across some Inquisitors. We might even see some of that being hashed out because right after Order 66,
Yep.
I'm gonna make the same one for season 2.
We're going to see.
Feels like they had a set path on what they after seeing season 1. They obviously had a clear idea. But what's the next level now? It's not just you against Crosshair, right? Crosshair, although he's still going to be a big part of it, I'm sure, was a little bit hashed out towards the end with like him discussing the chip and that. He's like, no,
was
I got
a
it
reveal.
removed. I got it
Yeah.
removed. This is just who I am.
Wow.
So now that seems like it's got like there's still some more stuff there.
Yeah.
I think they're still going to try and do what they can to clear his mind and redeem him some.
Yeah.
But
But they
another
separated. They went their
another
separate ways.
level to kind of like up the ante, make things more dangerous as they go on, could be some Inquisitor type stuff. I know their goal really with the Inquisitors is to go after the Jedi, but that
Right.
doesn't mean they couldn't come across them. I don't know. It's just
Sure.
that time period of that stuff. So season 2, we might see
right.
an Inquisitor.
Inquisitors. All right.
I don't think I officially made a season 2
You
prediction
did make a
yet.
Bad Batch.
No, I wasn't.
Bad Batch bet.
Season
I
2
went
bet.
on a long tangent there, which I tend to do. Speaking of which,
Speaking of which,
speaking of which,
new,
have I talked to you about? Okay, season 2 Bad Batch bet. I will bet. One thing. So maybe this is me talking myself into some bets. What's very interesting is it's almost a blank slate now of where they're because we talked about this going into season 1. One good thing about the Bad Batch is that we don't know where they are historically.
that's right.
Canon wise in Star Wars, we know what stormtroopers become. We know that they serve the Empire. Bad Batch can be just like Ahsoka is a freelancer kind of out there. Bad
Right.
Batch, because Omega is a new character. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we have more run-ins with Rex. They mention Rex a couple of times, even towards the end of the
He had
season.
some stuff going on. It seemed like preoccupied.
So I would predict, that's a small prediction, but I would predict we get more Rex in season 2. Possibly some Ahsoka that comes along with the
Could be.
connection to Rex. I do think we will get some Vader. My prediction would be Vader. I think that Vader in season 2 I think that it'll be almost impossible for them to continue or at least references to Vader, because I think that what we do know about is Vader it was not done in one day or anything. That Vader is with the Empire and is now like a weapon that the Empire sends out, and that's like
Right.
when you go to A New Hope and you have Tarkin and all these other senators, imperial officers, and they're all they look at Vader as this like Frankenstein's monster of like.
Right.
Yeah, he's got his religion and his beliefs and stuff, but us here, we're not worried about him. He's on our side. He's just our big, big just killing machine. We send out and can do our bidding. We're not succumb to him. Like we don't.
Yeah.
They don't feel, and then all of a sudden, of course, Vader chokes and turns out. Well, maybe he listens to, but then of course he listens to Tarkin. But I just think that as they continue to show the oppressive empire, which I think that will always kind of loom over now that the Clone Wars era is over, it is the age of the empire, and then we've already gotten into the show Rebels. So I don't think it'll be a ton of the rebellion being built because we've already seen a lot of that stuff. But I think it will continue to be, okay, they're on the run. I do think that they'll still be hunted. Like, I think that eventually, because Crosshair, they go separate ways. I think Crosshair has no intent of going after them anymore. And they kind of have been like, hey, listen, we're on different beliefs here. That doesn't mean we have to be enemies, even though we're on two different sides of this thing. We don't need to hunt each other anymore. So I think the Crosshair is going to try to stay out of their way as much as possible. But also, if you get in my way again, I still am on the side of the Empire.
That's right.
But I do think that
Crosshair's got a big problem though.
Yeah,
because the Empire's done with him.
The Empire's done with him. So I think that the ultimate thing to predict is that there's more with Crosshair coming. I think that Crosshairs stay with the Empire is not long lived. That's what I think. Yeah, because they don't want him.
Right.
They have.
Yeah, they're too dangerous.
Yeah, they're too dangerous, but he doesn't really necessarily want to go with them. So we don't know.
Here's the question I have for the bats, right? So if Vader's gonna come in, if Tarkin's gonna come in, I think the reason why Tarkin is not as involved is because they haven't done anything that rises to the Tarkin level. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And they've kind of been in the way, but they've been more of a nuisance.
They haven't been changing worlds and doing stuff like that, really. They're just slipping through the cracks a bit. Yeah.
So if they do something in the second season that begins to raise their stakes in the game, they're going to bring heavier guns after them. Yeah. I think that might be how we raise their position in this whole beginning of the rebellion thing, kind of maybe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. Mando, maybe.
Maybe.
Mando, maybe. Bad Batch, maybe.
I love it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Andor. Real quick. I'm just thinking through my head.
Recap what's coming.
Okay. All right. Move on. Visions. September. Book of Boba Fett. December. 2022. We have Andor. Mm-hmm. We have
Kenobi.
Ahsoka.
We have at Star Wars Celebration in 2022. They're going to announce Star Wars Celebration 2022. I believe if Kenobi's not already out yet, depending on the time, because it might go Andor and then Kenobi, or it could go the other way. Because they haven't decided, they haven't announced a release date on either of those. But it looks like they're both pretty similar production wise.
Right. Did you hear back from Dave yet about the tickets?
Not yet.
You got to text that guy.
Yeah, find out. I need him.
He's not working now.
No.
Right.
Come on.
He
can hook us up. You know he's listened to the podcast.
He's a yes and no guy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
No. Yeah. No.
That's it. And then just gets all the glory. That's it right there. So Andor Kenobi. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get an announcement, I would assume, at Celebration too. We'll get some news about the Acolyte. I don't think that's coming in 2022. If so, it could be a trailer or something for something that's 2023 maybe. Mm-hmm. The Ahsoka show, like these are things that are already like actively not just been announced, but the Ahsoka show's been set up on and then Mando season 3. Yeah, Mando season 3 is all in that time period.
Man.
2023, say Ahsoka maybe comes out in 2023 or the Acolyte. You have. So they Rogue Squadron movie.
Oh yeah.
You have Kevin Feige announced movie. You have Taika Waititi announced movie.
Man, Ryan
and
Johnson
you have just
trilogy.
the Ryan Johnson trilogy that's never been disavowed. It's never been declined. Who Ryan in like a recent interview was like, no, but I don't know when, but I'm still writing it. So
So Star
There's
Wars
all of that,
fatigue,
hang on.
Star Wars schmatigue.
Schmatigue, that's what I say.
Fatigue, schmatigue.
And if done right, we just saw it.
Yeah.
I just watched all 3 of those Marvel shows, and by the end, Loki was my favorite one.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
finished through Loki, and I was like, when's the
That was
next
the
coming
best
out? This
thing,
is
yeah.
awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I
if they
love it.
do
More and more content.
It's just funny to have all this, and then 2023. Last year, during late 2022, when we did our podcast about the big Disney investors meeting, and I was running through all the things. I watched that 3-hour stream, and they announced 2023 is Rogue Squadron, our first movie, and Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman, is going to be doing it, and I was thinking, oh, that's awesome, man. We have to wait till 2023. Now we're moving so fast already.
Oh my
that I'm like,
goodness.
we're in
And then if
almost
you do
September
follow-
of
yeah.
2021.
And if you
Right.
do
Then
follow
we
the Marvel
only-
stuff, you're
Now
you're
it feels
already
like we
you're
only have
really flying
2022
through.
to get all of this in here before the movies
Yeah.
start
No way.
coming out. So there's and then
It's insane.
who knows about the Lando series that was
Yep.
announced?
Right.
Like there's
Right.
so much that's
Yeah, it's crazy.
coming that there's. I really think Star Wars Celebration 2022 is going to be nuts.
It's gonna be it's gonna be crazy.
You
I
and,
can't
you and
wait to
McGregor
go.
will be there. That's a prediction. You and McGregor will be there, either having just come off the Obi-Wan show that just happened, and he's just going to be there, and he's
Right.
going to be getting the kind of final Star Wars fanfare, or that show has maybe Book of Boba Fett happened. Maybe nothing happened in the spring, or maybe Andor happened in the spring, and then we have a trailer for Obi-Wan. Maybe the trailer for Kenobi happens at Star Wars Celebration, and now everyone's leading up to this Kenobi series. That's just going to be crazy.
Can't wait.
With I would expect maybe a whole panel of stuff for the Ahsoka show at that point. Maybe it's a little early. I mean, they've done it in the past where they've done. For Force Awakens was a little bit different, but they did a Force Awakens trailer like 15 months in advance of the movie, which is like unheard of. That never happens.
Yeah.
Because it was like October or November for the following December. So it was like 13 or 14 months. But there could at least be, I think there'll be updated release dates on Acolyte that might be announced at that time and just get a little more.
Oh yeah.
Along with what's the thing that's hanging over this is their big home run grand slam success is Mando, which has no end
Mando
in sight
3.
right now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like who knows? They could be next Star Wars Celebration could be all about the fact that Mando season 3 is coming out. And there's been a trailer that Luke Skywalker's in it.
Could
Like,
be.
and you're like, what
Right.
in the world is happening? So who knows?
He very well could be.
There's so
Still
much.
remember
So
sitting
much
in the
that's going
theater
on.
watching Star Wars and then leaving going, man, I'll never be able to see it again.
Yeah, that was the end.
Gotta go back to the theater if you want to see it.
And then the prequels come out, and you're like, wait, there's more Star Wars. And then Revenge of the Sith happens, and you go, oh, man, I'm sad. That was it.
That's it.
I'd go see it again, but that's the last Star Wars I'll ever get.
That's right. And you gotta wait 6 months before it comes out on DVD.
Which again, all the people who like to poke fun and jab or just be downright cruel and are like, Disney ruined Star Wars. Look at what we're getting because
Ruined.
Disney has. George was done with it. As much as we
Right.
love George Lucas on this podcast,
He
and
was
talked
done
about
because people hated on him.
he was done. And he's up there in age. He's not going to make a million things. Give it to all these people who give it
That's
to
right.
Filoni, who's like, oh, I can produce 5 shows in a year.
For
I
sure.
can go do all this stuff. Kathy Kennedy's still doing all of it. She's
Yep.
like, I can do this. Come after my job. I dare
Amazing.
Crazy.
you. Yeah.
Crazy.
All that to say, a lot to look forward to
Yeah.
down the pipeline. Nate, fun questions. What do we got?
Fun questions. Well, we can pick either of these. Did you guys have some in mind? Any of these that you mentioned on precast?
Let's.
Did we get to our predictions of what we thought Anakin's favorite ice cream flavor was?
Well, we didn't mention that actually.
Maybe we could save that for the Christmas episode.
That's true.
that.
We should probably do
Our holiday special.
because red's got to be in.
The Star Wars guys holiday special.
24-hour live stream. Now that they have video.
Harvey Korman, Art Carney, Jefferson Airplane.
A singing Princess Leia.
Singing Princess Leia.
Love the holiday special. Okay, what was sorry?
No, I was just any of these that you guys want. I know we mentioned the greatest Jedi. We mentioned
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
why are they considered a myth in the Force Awakens? Jedi. What's the reason behind some of that?
You mean why is Luke Skywalker? Why did Rey say I thought he was a myth
Oh,
yeah.
when it's
Yeah.
only
Right.
roughly 30 years?
Why did Palpatine spare the Jedi and let some become Inquisitors for
Ooh,
Vader?
all right. You want
Order
to take
66.
them all? Well, you want to go?
Let's go. Let's start
Any
with
of those?
What's
Any of
the
those
first one?
intrigue you?
All of them.
Yeah.
Let's do greatest Jedi.
Greatest Jedi.
Who
Who is the greatest
the
Jedi?
greatest Jedi? Now, I think for me, my first thought becomes, well, what defines the greatest Jedi? Is it pure strength? Is it knowledge? Is
Okay.
it everything? Is it just everything as a whole?
I would say let's if we're going to talk about the greatest Jedi, I would say if I was going to throw one out, the Jedi who best epitomizes the ideals that the Jedi
True.
value.
Yeah.
True. So,
So-
Anakin.
Right. So like strength is defense, not attack.
All right.
Don't give in to anger.
Yes.
No attachments.
Patience.
Or is that or is that a flawed version that we think
Yeah.
maybe doesn't
interesting.
make the greatest Jedi?
I think that
I don't know.
I can kick it off here. I think that some of the names that pop into my head, it's funny that you just mentioned that, Uncle. Some of the names that popped into my head, immediately I thought, Yet I know for sure that the first two names that popped into my head, well, we'll say three. The first three names that popped in my head, one is kind of the epitome of what you think of a Jedi teacher and a Jedi of wisdom, and that's Master Yoda.
Right.
As far as he is, there's a reason why every single Jedi, when it's Master, they'll be like, well, this is
Right.
Master Yoda.
Even Master
Even,
Yoda.
even our masters listen to Master Yoda.
Right.
He's had a hand in training many of the great Jedi that I'm about to name as potentials of what as potential
Right.
greatest Jedi. We'll start with the obvious. I think Luke Skywalker's in the conversation for sure. When you talk about
Right.
pure power, with I don't even just go necessarily like, well, one, now that we have a great scene to refer to in The Mandalorian. The way he goes through the Dark Troopers
Oh
is
my
like
gosh. Butter.
nothing. It's
George
and
like butter.
go right through that.
the way that he's just completely mastered his abilities
Oh, yeah.
in
That's right.
fighting, but is also completely in control. He's going through all these. The face that Moff Gideon makes, like that it's almost like
tries to
he's
kill
never
himself.
come face to face with Luke Skywalker, but he knows that there's a Jedi who took down the whole Empire.
That's
when
right.
It came down.
He
to
went
it.
from I'm getting
And
out
he
of here
gets-
to I'm gonna try and kill
He's
him.
watching the
Yeah,
monitors.
like-
He's like,
right.
"Good luck against the Dark Troopers," and he watches it and he thinks, "Oh no, this is the end for me."
That's right.
Yeah.
And then also, I go further than that with the way that he is able to. Again, we talk about what we like about The Last Jedi in here. One of the things I like about The Last Jedi a lot was I felt like what's more of a Jedi move when we talk about knowledge and defense and not attacking out of anger
Right.
and doing these things than Luke saving the resistance and the rebellion being reborn by not even leaving Octo,
Right.
but actually going there, his force projection to not just have a little combat or anything, but to also eat away at the heart of Ben Solo, at the heart of Kylo Ren, and even project kind of his father's. The physical
Right.
ability to force use and project yourself there to fool someone as intelligent as Kylo,
yeah.
Right.
and as force sensitive as Kylo, that he could not recognize that what he was fighting was not even actually Luke. Couldn't
Yes.
sense the fact that wasn't him. That's
Right.
a level of power.
Yeah. Is that the strongest thing?
It's
we've
so
seen?
strong. I mean, it's so strong that Kylo says to Rey, "The effort would kill you." Like they're talking about doing that. He's like, "No." He's like, "How are you doing that? You can't be doing this willingly. The effort would kill you."
He's like, yeah, you're not
It
actually
gets,
here.
It gets
Yeah.
Luke, but the fact that
talking
he's
me
even
into
able
it.
to do it.
Can I throw some stuff out and say, does
Let's do it.
this disqualify you?
Yeah, because I think
Sure.
there's
Sure,
stuff
I like
even
that.
for Luke that it's
Okay,
it's
so
interesting.
I like that.
so Anakin's disqualified because he turned to the dark side.
Turn to the dark side.
Right?
Out. Yeah.
Do we take points off because Yoda went and hit out and Obi-Wan went and hit out? Do we take points off? That
I
when
think
they had
Obi-Wan-
the opportunity to come back and help.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, you can
No,
go.
I was gonna say here.
Sure. Yeah, I defer.
Hey, listen, Poe, we had each other. I'm randomly doing
Jeff
random.
This is the part of the podcast when we all do.
This is
Yeah, I defer. You can go.
Now that's a random rant we have not done in a long time. Go for it, Nate.
I was just gonna say, Obi-Wan. I've always thought Obi-Wan was a great Jedi, but I've never really
You don't like
thought
him.
he was the best.
Well,
I've never
yeah.
like when people. I've seen a lot of people, whether it's on YouTube or just big Star Wars fans, talking about some of the greatest Jedi, and they're like, well, Anakin obviously before turning bad, but then they're like, well, Obi-Wan. I'm like, for some reason, Obi-Wan I've never really thought was that great or
Me
that
neither.
strong.
Me neither.
I feel like I just see him get beat a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I see him get defeated
In his
a lot.
defense, he was able to take down Grievous.
He took down Grievous. He took down
Anakin.
Maul.
Took down Maul.
Took down Anakin.
Took down Anakin. He did take
He
down
was
Anakin.
a very good fighting.
So, as a
very good
swordsman,
track
that's
record as a
true.
swordsman.
I think he's
That's true.
pretty high.
Yes.
But there are things
But-
about him and some of the things you say, and some of it is old Ben.
Right. He's a
And
liar.
I just, well, he's a flat out liar.
filthy
Let's
liar.
just call it how it is.
Points off in my book.
Yeah, that is points off.
Yeah,
No, but
it's either one of the two. Either he's lying or he's confused. Both are negatives. They both. I'm gonna have.
There's
to
not a
trade
way in
one
which he looks
song.
good regarding that situation. Yes.
true. But yeah, I don't know.
You're
I
right.
don't-
There is something there.
And I can't maybe I just can't pin it right now off the top of my head, but there's just something there that I personally have never really saw Obi-Wan as, and I love the character. Obi-Wan's great. Ewan McGregor is fantastic, but I just never really saw him as, like, I look at Master Yoda and even Anakin differently. I just see them as,
You've talked me into
I don't
it.
know.
You've talked me into it.
Into
Confession time.
let's do it.
I was never a Luke Skywalker fan because, I mean, you had Han Solo. Why would you? Why would you
Han
go after the
Solo.
Tashi Station kid when you got Han Solo?
Mr.
right?
Cool himself.
Yeah.
The epitome of cool.
So that was always the originals. Was like Han Solo was my guy.
Yeah.
And when that's the only thing you've seen at the time for a long time, right? Basically before the prequels came out, this is what you're referencing as kind of a whiny young Luke.
Empire is still.
It's like, this is Luke. This is
the
a whiny
same
young
kid.
Luke. But when you can watch that now and like
put it all
me
together.
remembering the prequels and the originals around the same time, watching them back
Right.
to back to back to back,
Right.
you're like, okay, now I can kind of like you can see a little bit more. Not
Right.
that I don't know. It didn't really rub off on the same way of just settling with like Luke kind of whines a lot.
So
it-
run with it.
is
Run
it-
with that. What have you talked?
Okay.
Where's the heart change? What has been happening?
Well, I think Mando had a lot to do with it. I do.
Yeah.
And the fact that what Luke does is not in line. He disobeys Yoda. He disobeys Obi-Wan. But what he does feels right to me.
Yeah.
And it was actually that brought about the downfall of the Emperor and the redemption of Vader. Luke
Sure.
got that right.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
got it
The
right.
others didn't.
And he knew something in himself that they
Yeah.
didn't, that their force powers couldn't perceive.
Sure.
He was just doing what, it was almost like his instinct was stronger than their idea. of
Is
what
that
it
the
should
Force?
be. I don't know.
Is that more of a family connection of like he's my father, or
They saw
is
his
that
weakness.
They saw his weakness, and he saw his. He
Yeah.
had his self belief. He even said. He said in the way I took it is he's not putting up a front. He tells
Yeah.
Yoda, "I'm not afraid."
That's
and
right.
Yoda says, "You will be," like trying to scare him. Like,
That's right.
first of all,
You will
fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to destiny.
Why do you want me to be
If
afraid,
I'm
Yoda?
I'm not trying to
Right.
make him afraid before
Right.
he goes. I don't know why you would do that. Instead, I'd be running with the fact that like maybe this kid is the hope that we've been. The reason others have failed is they
True.
didn't have the intestinal
True.
fortitude, the
I mean,
internal
I
belief
will
that
say-
Luke had.
I will say one thing I do like about Yoda though that would bring back some of those points would be he recognizes his failures and he addresses those.
That's true.
He said we failed. Just because I failed, and goes on to teach Luke. That's one of the greatest things that you can pass on is your failures.
That's right.
So that the next generation can learn from them without having to go through that.
So negative on Luke, pulling a saber on Kylo.
Negative.
A little bit of a negative.
Yeah.
A little bit of negative.
Yeah. I like this. So let's kind of reformat.
Are there any
this.
I like that. Let's
disqualifiers?
keep going with the this
Let's go
qualifiers,
character.
yeah.
Let's go our main characters just to throw them out. Even if ones are not good, like we can do.
Yeah,
we can
sure.
throw some of
Mace.
these others in there. We'll get to Mace.
Let's
Let's stay on Luke real quick.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
throw out some positives and throw out any potential negatives as far
Right.
as
Okay.
like points for this, points down for this. Like
Okay.
you were talking about, one thing I think the parallel between, and this is maybe, and again, I don't hate it, but I frequently reference The Last Jedi just because I think that it connects so much to Empire and so much to Return of the Jedi that it's interesting that I hear so many criticisms of people saying, a Jedi wouldn't do what Luke does and just go into hiding when they need him. I'm like, except that's what
That's what
Obi-Wan
they
did,
all
and
do
that's
that.
what Master Yoda, arguably
Yeah.
one of the
Hiding we must
greatest
go.
of all time.
That's actually one of the things
Yeah.
I like the most about The Last Jedi.
One of the differences
most
Was the
consistent thing we
parallels
do.
between
Yeah.
because his story is exactly what he saw his master do in
That's
Yoda.
right.
And while Yoda ends up, Luke finds Yoda because Obi-Wan says, go to Dagobah, go train for Master Yoda. Yoda's kind of reluctant even when he gets there, and then he trains him. But from our perspective, Yoda is set to just live out his days and just die there and never get back in the fight.
Right.
Yoda
Yeah.
has no plan of action where, like, at this point, I'm going to intervene and go back, and I'm going to. He just kind of was like, I mean, that's it for me. We failed. The last thing he says is like, failed have I? After he doesn't defeat the Emperor, and
Sure.
And we know it wasn't over.
no.
They were still out there fighting, and
And
Yeah.
he should know from Order 66
And
too,
Jedi
there's
were
other
still being
Jedi
hunted
out
down.
they
there.
were still out there.
You have
still hunting
Caleb
them down.
Doom. You have these other people that
right.
Cal
Kestis,
Kestis, you have people
yeah.
that are surviving out
Plenty
there.
of the Inquisitors.
He knows Ahsoka. I mean, he met Ahsoka, and he knows these people are still out there.
Yeah.
But he very much said, I failed, and that's it. So that'd be a negative against him. But I was saying what's interesting is the people who criticize the Last Jedi's decision to take Luke away and to do this and that. That's not something that would happen, but are fine when Yoda does it.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's
Who's supposed
either-
to be the
And I think they're both
Grandmaster.
short-sighted because they both end up learning from the fact, which is what the Last Jedi does, is the Last Jedi
Leading
almost
into
puts
the-
it in
yeah.
your face of Yoda comes. The reason why Yoda is the one who shows up to him and not a Qui-Gon or not
sure.
someone, not even like
Old
the ghost
Ben.
of Han or an old
Right.
Ben, is
Right.
that it is Yoda who specifically has gone through what Luke has gone through as far as feeling like,
Like I failed, and I'm
now,
the best thing for you.
Obi-Wan does, and I think this is what the Obi-Wan series is going to be about, is that Obi-Wan does go through this traumatic, I failed as a teacher because Anakin turns.
Yeah.
Yoda is the head of the whole Jedi Order, and the whole Jedi Order is completely fallen right underneath his feet. And he not only failed one person, he failed to see that Palpatine is going to take down the entire thing.
That's right.
it
And
happens
not
right
even
under
just
his
Jedi,
nose.
but the planets. I mean,
This happens right
billions
under
of people.
Yoda's nose. He's having
Exactly.
weekly briefings with this guy and
Yeah.
cannot see this coming.
Exactly.
That's a major failure.
Yep.
But the end of The Last Jedi is him saying, no, I admit, when I went away, this was wrong. I gave up. This was it. And he tells Luke, you gave up. This is, and it's the reason it's Yoda's helping Luke that gets Luke back in the
Right.
fight, and they both learn from their mistakes. That's people will always leave it as, oh, Luke gave up. Yes, he did. Midway through the movie, and then at the end of the movie, you see,
Right.
and then in Rise of Skywalker, his
What
lines
happens?
of
Ray tries to do the same thing that her
and he
teacher and Luke
teaches him,
did.
says, "Listen, I was wrong."
Let me
And
raise
he
a
helps
thought.
that.
Let me raise a thought to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said Yoda went off, gave up. Obi-Wan didn't actually go into hiding. Obi-Wan went to Tatooine to protect
True.
what all of them believed could be the redemption of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Which was Luke
And maybe
Skywalker.
even
he went
thought,
on a mission. His was actually
mission was to
Yoda was
protect.
out of there. He was like, "This
Right.
is our hope.
Right.
I'm going to sit here and be patient and wait until the time is right."
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan very much gets Luke into the game
To the point
has
where
this thing and he
Obi-Wan-
says, "Let's go."
to the point where you could argue Obi-Wan even thought Luke was the chosen one of the prophecy after seeing Anakin fall.
Well, in Star Wars Rebels, he flat out says that he is. From his point of view,
his point of view.
There's a
he's
scene,
like,
I don't want to say too much about
one.
it, but he's asked in Star Wars Rebels because someone discovers, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched all of Rebels yet.
Anybody meaning the guy in the robe.
Anybody meaning the guy in the robe.
Yeah.
He is confronted with someone and says, like, you're on Tatooine. Is your guard is something, and the scene and his thing ends with like, is the person you're guarding the chosen one? And Obi-Wan says he is. And so from Obi-Wan's perspective, he thinks Anakin.
Which how could you?
He
not?
thinks Anakin's dead.
That's right.
Anakin couldn't have been the chosen one. I just watched him burn
dead.
alive.
That's right.
There's no way he's the chosen one. It had to be Luke then.
Right.
And so from his perspective, it makes total sense.
Yep.
But I've also heard Filoni's been asked about this, and Filoni says, don't take people's perspectives as
Yeah, because
gospel.
they're characters. They don't know.
They're characters. They don't know.
Exactly.
Anakin's the chosen one.
Okay, let me throw this one out then. Okay. So these all have some major flaws.
Yeah.
What are the drawbacks of say a non-Jedi like Qui-Gon? What are his flaws? What disqualifies him
Like, is there
from being the greatest?
are you saying like him not necessarily going with the council?
Yeah, does that disqualify him from being
Does
the
that
greatest
take him
Jedi?
away from?
Or was he
because
right
the
to
J-
do that?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could argue he was right, but the Jedi is the order.
That's right.
So yeah, shoot,
I would say an
Because we'd have to
interesting
throw
thing.
Ahsoka out of that too, even though
she's no Jedi.
right.
Yeah, and this Qui-Gon's a Jedi, but he's not part of the council.
He's not,
Qui-Gon is a
He's not on the
Jedi.
council.
Yeah,
He's a Jedi. He's just not part of the
order,
council. Yeah,
But he's not. So
he's not on the council.
right.
Ahsoka
but
renounces the Jedi.
yeah, she's
And
not.
that's
a
why when
Jedi.
she's asked later, of like, "Oh, I know you're
says,
Jedi." She's saying,
I'm
"No,
not.
Jedi. I'm not." Obi-Wan identifies as a Jedi.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
a
Qui-Gon.
Jedi.
Qui-Gon.
I'm sorry, Qui-Gon is
Right.
a Jedi,
He's not on the council.
but he is He is not. He's, and that's why Obi-Wan even says to him, like, "Master, don't you think that, like, if you would follow these rules, then you would be on the council?" And he has no interest in being on the council.
Yeah.
That's why he's not following the rules, because he thinks
does
some of
that
those rules
elevate
are
his
dumb. In a way.
understanding, or does that lower him?
I think
on
it
the scale?
elevates his understanding and it makes him maybe.
Does it make him a greater? Actually,
I think. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
what
it's
gets,
hard
does
because
that disqualify him, or does it make him more qualified?
I think what gets Qui-Gon, I think it elevates him. I think that Qui-Gon is known as, I'm trying to think of like the way to put it, because I've talked about this before, is I feel like Qui-Gon and Dooku are opposite sides of a
Sure.
similar coin, is what I was talking about precast.
His
I think
friend's Jedi, Dooku's
I
friend's
think
Sith.
that they both cross the line and even ignore orders when maybe sometimes they should.
Yeah.
Sometimes they should ignore orders, and sometimes they're being a little bit more of like, I push the boundaries because I'm going to stick it to this person. I think Qui-Gon has a little bit of that in him. I think he has a little bit of rogue in him, for better or worse.
Sure.
But I do think the heart of that, I think that there's more of it elevating him than keeping him down. Of
Because
the
his
things that he
intentions
disagrees
were
with
good.
is because he thinks that the Jedi are being narrow-minded.
Sure.
And I think that there's a good possibility that, well, one, we've gotten into the whole Duel of the Fates thing. If Anakin Skywalker's entire story arc plays out differently if Qui-Gon's not killed.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, what hurts Qui-Gon in the greatest Jedi of all time is his actual Force abilities in fighting. I think he's defeated by Maul, and then Obi-Wan defeats him rather easily
as a Padawan.
as a Padawan.
Yeah.
Right.
And at that point, he even tells his Padawan, "You've become a much greater Jedi than I have." I think that Obi-Wan is kind of maybe looked at from the council and others as a little bit beneath them.
Yeah.
Even though I think his heart and some of the things that he chooses to do, his care for Anakin, his care for Shmi Skywalker, I think that those things are what makes him, that lifts him up, is because he has a compassion. He has a compassion about him that in the same, he's picking up Anakin,
Yes.
and what does Obi-Wan say? We pick up another pathetic life form. Like Obi-Wan from day one is pretty kind of ruthless. With
So
some of this
Anakin and
stuff.
Jar Jar are like the same? Do you think?
Yeah, like you really
Come on.
don't see the difference between stepping in poodoo, blah, 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 putting his tongue in the electricity versus someone who can race pods at the age of 9. Like
Right.
there's a
Try
difference there.
spinning that school trick.
So I think that's what gets Qui-Gon is I think that it's the heart in those things. I think is where other people fail. I think Qui-Gon makes very good decisions. Sometimes he steps over the line and gets out of the bounds. He's hard to be contained almost.
Yep.
He's a little bit of a wild cowboy of a Jedi.
Yeah.
All right, let me throw some stuff out and see if we can narrow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so which would give you a more qualified to be the greatest Jedi? If you had to choose between these two, your abilities with the lightsaber, or your abilities to use and understand the Force.
Ooh.
Or are they both?
I feel like
Because you're gonna have Mace Windu, who is Master
Great.
Swordsman,
man.
Yeah.
and you're gonna have
True.
Master Swordsman, real jerk.
I would
Right.
argue.
willing to break the.
I feel like the knowledge of the Force and your actual strength and the Force ability, I can see outweighing the saber, because the saber's good. They use it for defense,
Yep.
but they also do use it to kill when they need to.
That's right.
As defense, right?
Yeah.
But if you're strong enough in the Force, you look at Obi-Wan, he can for Jedi mind trick you to never even have to touch the saber
That's
in that
right.
in that instance. I feel like that is more of a Jedi defense way than actually have to ignite the saber.
Yep.
You have the saber, but you don't necessarily want to ignite it, right?
That's right.
So I feel like that in itself, if you can get the same thing across with just the Force, I feel like can be looked at as, a stronger or maybe next tier.
Because
and
if you have
far
to use
greater.
the saber, you've somewhat failed in your
Yeah,
ability.
sure.
And there's
And it
so
depends who
much
you're
there.
going up against. If you're
Okay.
going up against Jabba, he apparently can't
coming
be
in.
Jedi mind tricked, right?
Right.
So he knows
Right.
that's. So I mean, there's some leeway in the situation, but
Or
I feel like
Watto.
if you're strong enough to be able to do that, then and
Do
even
we,
Yoda does stuff with the Force that we've never seen. He's catching
That's
he's
right.
catching the Sith lightning and spitting it back. He's not using it, but he's throwing it back in
Yeah.
their face. So like, those are things that like we haven't seen. Where you're like, oh, okay, that's something that we've only seen Yoda do. I don't know.
All right, we've talked about all these different abilities and things. Would it be okay to do a Jedi bracket? Is that a fair way now that we've kind of established some?
That's good.
I
I like
so.
it.
I think so.
Are we going to get them all? Are we going to? Do we confine it to just the movies and the TV shows? Or are we going to throw in books and video games and? Because nobody's mentioned Load and Greatstorm yet. That's not.
I was gonna say if
man.
we're throwing
I was
in
gonna
High
say.
Republic stuff, we're
Or
talking about
any
some
Talk about
great
what
Jedi.
you can do
Right.
when your minds connect.
Yeah.
High
Totally,
Republic
you're,
stuff.
It's a totally different level.
That's a whole.
Also,
I say we
Great
leave that
Storm,
out.
what
It's
a
almost
name.
not fair.
What a Jedi name.
Because it's right.
Yeah, seriously.
Speaking of which, we'll have to do a Light of the Jedi review
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
soon. But yeah, there's
So I would say movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
movies, TV shows.
Skywalker saga era.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that'll
All right.
include the most people that
Right.
can follow.
So
us.
are we gonna just anybody who was a Jedi, or we're gonna have some disqualifications if you turned, or do we just
we
let
can
the
throw them
bracket
out there
decide?
and let the bracket
Yeah.
decide.
Okay.
I mean, you can.
I've
we
got a
can
couple
limit it.
too that just kind of came to mind.
What, you thinking a little bit of Kanan?
I was thinking
All right, you
Kanan
guys
and
got a
Ezra.
You guys got a handle on all of them, so you throw out two. And we'll,
I was thinking Kanan and Ezra as
let's do it this way, okay? Bear with us. You name one, and you name one. So
We'll
you
just go
pick
out,
one.
just throw one out there.
Throw one out, and then you match them up, and then we'll vote.
All right.
We'll vote between them. We'll see who
We'll just, I guess,
or survives.
Obi-Wan. Hello there.
Okay, we'll do Obi-Wan.
Mas Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We'll do Obi-Wan versus
Don't make it hard.
Ahsoka.
Don't make it. Well, no Jedi. Disqualified.
We'll do-
Disqualified. No Jedi.
That's
No,
that
that's
would
a
be
tough
up
one.
to the
That's a
bracket.
tough one.
Though.
We'll make it
That's
easier.
up
We'll
to
make
the
it easier. We'll make it a little
That's
bit
up
easier
to the
for you.
bracket.
Let's go Obi-Wan versus Ezra.
Ezra.
Yeah.
Gosh. See, I have. All right. We'll take a vote.
Well, no, you can first say your thoughts of Obi-Wan versus
Okay,
Ezra.
Obi-Wan versus Ezra. Are there? Okay, I'll
Also,
try to do
we-
this without total spoilers.
All disclaimer too,
for
Ezra's
Ezra.
story has more to be told.
Yeah, that's true. You convinced me a little bit more with the Obi-Wan because he does defeat Anakin, that's pretty high level there.
And Grievous and Dooku.
And Grievous and Duke. Well, yeah,
Well,
not as much Dooku. Not as much
no.
Dooku.
Not as much.
He failed against Dooku, but Obi-Wan or Anakin obviously is pretty good. So he's pretty strong there. There are
it's-
negatives there
We're
with
Obi-Wan versus
Obi-Wan
Ezra.
because of some of the stuff old Ben says. I don't think
I've seen enough
I don't
of
think
Ezra.
he follows a lot of the Jedi ways later on when he's telling Luke to murder Vader. He doesn't really see. I think he fails to see Luke's vision and the fact that he's actually redeemable, and that to me shows a lack of ability to see that Vader's too far gone. Luke can't go redeem him, even though Luke obviously senses no, there's good in him. That makes me feel like Luke's got an edge on that ability. You could argue it's because they're family or whatever, but the lack of faith or lack of Force ability to sense that kind of stuff and feel like no, you have to kill him because what's the Emperor want? The Emperor wants Luke to come kill Vader.
Right.
Sure, take him out. Kill him because that'll be your final descent to become my next
Yep.
apprentice. And for Obi-Wan to not see that is very not good, I guess. So that takes a hit. Ezra, without giving away too much spoilers for Rebels, goes pretty deep into the Force that we've not seen other Jedi do.
Holocrons.
That holocrons,
Both ways.
there's some
team up with Maul.
without
It's like,
explaining
come
a
on,
lot,
man.
without explaining too much and giving a lot away. But if you're watching and you've seen it, World Between Worlds stuff there is
Well, yeah,
very Ezra
Yeah.
heavy that we haven't seen a lot of other Jedi do.
Kanan is one of my favorites. We
So-
haven't gotten there yet, but
We haven't gotten there. But there's stuff that Ezra, as annoying as he was at the beginning of Rebels, as he grows up, he starts doing a lot of things that I think kind of not redeem him, but
Yeah.
really make you feel like, okay, wow, he's becoming a lot more
young kids
powerful than
don't
I
do
thought.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So he's becoming more powerful than I thought. He's got abilities he's got connections with animals, with Doom and Kanan. Like there's connections with Ezra's Force ability that lead on that he's a lot stronger than what we think, and there's more to be told that we could even see more of that. I honestly think I'm putting Ezra over Obi-Wan.
I'll be quicker. Obi-Wan.
There we go.
Because there's one speech that Obi-Wan gives that he demonstrates something that you see very rarely. When he says to Anakin, "You're a far greater Jedi than I could ever be." Humility.
Yeah.
True.
I think Obi-Wan has got humility.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
He
think
definitely does.
I like
Definitely
that.
does.
I
I
like
like
that.
that too.
I think that I'll go quicker too. I think I would say Obi-Wan with the but it's a lot closer than I would have said right when I first.
I think it's close. I definitely think it's close.
I know where Ezra goes to. I think negatives for Ezra, but it's as expected. Very whiny kid at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's expected. Luke's whiny.
And I'm closer to that end than the other end.
Yeah.
Because I
yeah.
haven't finished it yet.
That's true.
Totally.
So I
He's
might not be a fair.
There's an
fair
arrogance
judge.
there for sure. There's also just a naivete about it that
Yeah.
he's just like you said, ooh, red holocron. That must be good. No,
Right.
red's usually bad. And
Yeah.
it's Sith
Yeah.
holocron.
Right.
And now I
Yeah.
fall for these traps. And so there's a lot of, I think Ezra definitely suffers from, he doesn't think a lot of things through.
Yeah.
Positive points for Ezra, similar to the Luke column, is other people give up when Ezra still thinks things are possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of just similar to like
I guess
that
I'm
comes
kind
with
of
you?
like what you're
How did that
talking
come
about.
with
My
you?
thought process was
Yeah.
more like end of the last stuff, furthest in the timeline that we've seen Ezra is kind of more of where I'm coming from.
for sure, and I'm getting there too. The end of where Ezra does,
And there's
some
still
things that
stuff
are
to be told.
huge. Yeah, Ezra does some things, especially season 3, season 4,
Yeah.
that are just
Very humble,
very humble, very.
selfless. Yeah.
It's a theme in Star Wars for sure. Is the found family, and about how he's similar to like a journey that Rey is on, where he's like everything's
you've
about
seen
getting
enough
back
of
to
probably Rebels
Yeah.
to know that.
everything's about getting. He's trying to find his parents. What happened to my parents? He's all and he's
Kanan.
Kanan. I think I can save him. I can. And then in Ezra, I love
Yeah.
Kanan just always just like
Yeah,
calming him
sure.
down and stuff. But Ezra does, because he has this belief in all. He
Pushes the
essentially,
boundaries.
He pushes the boundaries
Yeah.
of what's possible, but he takes that energy that he has as far as his love and his desire to protect his family, and then he starts exerting that towards Kanan and towards Hera and towards.
And this could all
Zeb,
get more
and this-
complicated as we hear more about Ezra and we hear more about Obi-Wan.
Yes,
True.
We're going to get
That's
we're
true.
gonna fill in that gap.
There's some
too.
stuff for both.
sure.
That's
so
true.
it's complicated. Right now I would lean towards Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
All right, Obi-Wan.
But it really is a lot
yeah.
more complicated, especially because of what happens. What's coming
I
in season
agree. I
3
think
and
part
4.
of it too is the unknown.
Yeah.
Ezra's still so young, and the stuff that we've seen, that the reason why I kind of leaned that way too was there's so much from where he's at and where he's left off, with the fact that there's I mean, we don't know for sure, but there's potential, I guess, for him to for us more story to be told. That makes me really like ready to kind of see where his character can go. I don't know.
So we have our first one. This bracket will officially
Obi-Wan.
take 5 hours.
5 hours.
5 hours for the bracket. We can
We'll
go
just spit a
quicker on
couple
this.
out. We'll just spit a couple
All
out.
right. Obi-Wan
another
moves on. Obi-Wan versus Mace Windu.
Ooh, I take.
I mean, you could argue Mace is the only one who had it right.
That's true.
He's the only one that actually saw for what it was.
That's true. He's a
You
master
could also argue he
swordsman.
pushed him,
Yeah, we had a little debate on this.
but if you're a Jedi and somebody, I don't know. If you
yeah. He
Yeah.
saw, I mean,
He was very arrogant, though.
very.
Very arrogant.
Mace is
very
very arrogant.
cocky, I guess, and I don't know if that's the right word, but very arrogant, cocky in their abilities. Very, I don't know. Was like too protective, or too like, oh, we're Jedi, we're the Council, like.
He definitely has.
We can't fall.
we are
We
the
can't see
Jedi.
this. Yeah.
yes.
right.
The only person we've ever seen in a lightsaber battle just completely dismantle
Handily.
the Emperor. Handily. They went
Now,
through the
you-
entire.
You could argue that was for show.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
The
And that
Emperor
is
got
the,
himself in
the
that
debate's
position
there
because
for
he
sure.
wanted Anakin to be the one to
Sure.
step
Yes.
in, and that would
Because he
push him
does show, and then he's like,
And-
right.
and how he's acting so afraid, and then all of a sudden he turns it on.
Like, no.
Did he know that he's
Right.
not? Did he also know that Mace is not going to disarm and immediately kill him? There's going to be some
Right.
speech. I have force lightning. I can do
I
stuff.
can turn
like,
this around.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. That's definitely a.
I think that's a negative tick. Also,
yeah.
I vote Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan over Mace.
I
I'd
vote
say
Obi-Wan. I'd say
for sure.
Obi-Wan. Obi-wan.
Okay. Obi-Wan
From
moves
but
on.
just about every standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. What about Obi-Wan versus Yoda?
Obi-Wan versus Yoda.
I have to go Yoda.
I have to go Yoda.
Yoda. Obi-Wan's
Yeah.
I just feel like even though Yoda, he
better
went into
wisdom.
hiding, the fact, like, his ability to then meet with Luke and pass on the fail. Yoda also just has the greatest quotes. Like, he is
He does.
the epitome of knowledge for the Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
that is his character.
right.
But Obi-Wan has. Who's the bigger fool? The fool or the fool who follows him? That's while Yoda's talking about fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate. He's talking about fools. And
Although,
fools.
is it a point? Is it an upward point or a downward point for Obi-Wan's ability to see things from a certain point of view? He definitely sees things from point of views that no one else does.
Unfortunately, leaving your brother / best friend burning alive and continuing to just give him kind of a speech instead of putting him out of his misery.
Yeah, that's not
I
the
can't
Jedi
say that
way.
that's a point upward. That's got to be a point down.
Yeah.
Although he
Left
did
that-
just destroy him in a
Right.
lightsaber battle, which is great.
He left that little nugget out when he said Darth Vader betrayed and murdered your father. Of course, I killed him first, but I made him a little angry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go Yoda.
The funny thing too is that
He like
you're talking about because remember they talked about Mark Hamill initially was told like what Mark Hamill and them heard the big twist was that Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, and it was supposed to be that Obi-Wan killed your father.
That's right.
Which is funny because
Love that.
that's also not far off of what happened.
Right.
Your father was
True.
Anakin Skywalker.
He did.
He did.
And again, even though he turned to Darth Vader and that happened before, last time Obi-Wan saw Anakin before whatever happens in the
He
Kenobi
essentially killed
series, he chopped off his limbs and set him on fire.
Is it possible that was George coming back around? going. I told you.
Could have been. Told you he did.
He really did.
From a certain point of view.
Part of him.
Well,
Yeah.
technically, I did not kill him,
Yeah.
but I did try my darndest. I
I did everything I could.
I left him limbless and on
The
fire. What
only
else
thing
am I
to
supposed
actually do more was if he would have just
Right.
force choked his burning body.
Yeah.
Okay, Yoda moves
yeah,
on.
Yoda.
Obi-Wan's
Yoda.
on. All right, you guys want to throw another one? Yoda against
Ahsoka.
man. I can't
is where we're getting
disqualify her for
really
leaving
tough.
the Jedi. I mean,
Can't
No, I don't
disqualify
either.
either.
Because
I think
having
yeah.
seen, having us
technically
seen,
Yoda left the Jedi too. I mean, just
and having us seen what happened and the way that she was framed and the Jedi Order turned against her and not believing her and all this stuff happening, it's very much we all were like, wow, this is a big moment, but we were all applauding her for leaving
that's
the
the
Jedi.
right thing to do.
As much
The
as we're
Jedi
all
are wrong.
fans of the Jedi
That's
here, as he said,
right.
his uncle sits in his Jedi robes. We're fans of the Jedi.
right.
But in that instance, we're like, oh yeah,
Well,
get
here's the
out of
thing.
there.
Before we
Yeah,
do
what
this, are we defining the greatest Jedi in this scenario as doing the right thing, like is what's right, or like who followed the order? Because like even though we could agree that the Jedi Order had some mistakes, but if you followed the order, are we saying that's the greatest Jedi because they're following the order,
me-
or like who's making the right decisions and the most powerful, like that type of stuff?
I am interpreting it as the Jedi Council was not following
Yeah. Oh, okay.
the actual. We've had this debate.
Gotcha.
one
Yeah,
at a
because they
time.
took rank, like that type of stuff.
That's exactly
Okay.
right. So they
Okay.
swayed from what Jedi
What the order
should
is. Yeah.
be. In a sense, leaving them.
In that
maybe
case,
pushed
Ahsoka
her-
leaving is definitely a point up.
pushed her closer to the epitome of a Jedi because she's like, I'm not doing that because that's not what Jedi.
Yeah, you're saying
are.
she's actually more on path of what a Jedi is supposed to be.
Maybe that could
Which
be
I
is
would
argued.
agree with
interesting
that.
because-
I would
Could be the
agree with
argument.
that.
Which
I
is
agree.
also interesting because now it's not just mere speculation when we have these High Republic books and we see how the Jedi used to behave and how the Jedi
True.
used to be used.
No, it's not with that.
It's
That's not it.
It's not it. And so, like before, it was pure spec. Like we were like, well, I don't know. Like
True.
this is kind of what we've only seen.
yeah.
Was that what they were supposed to be and they just
Yeah.
fell short, or was it that they're misguided? Is this just kind of what the Jedi are? But now we've seen Jedi in a
They are
different period.
separate
And
from
they're
the
very
military.
different.
They
Yes,
are not.
Yeah.
they're very different.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
more. Yeah. There's.
We're doing this.
Let's go for
We're
it.
doing
I guess.
Yoda and Ahsoka.
I can't go
Apologies
first.
for anyone who has only seen episode 1 of Clone Wars. It's like,
You
who's like,
should
"Are you
apologize to us. if
Totally.
You've only seen
Yeah.
episodes.
kidding me?"
Right.
This is our good our weekly.
If you've watched
Clone
Mando,
Wars.
you get a good glimpse
Mando's
of Ahsoka.
good.
True.
Yeah.
And this is our weekly Clone Wars plug of you will start the show. You will start the show. You will
Skip to
wonder
season
why
3.
you started the show. Then you will fall in love with the show, and it will be one of your favorite
Yeah.
things you've ever seen,
Yeah.
Star Wars wise. It's just the way it's. We all went through it.
I mean,
I went through it. I talked to Nate. Nate said, I can't do it. I said, stick it out. And Nate said, this is insane.
it's the greatest
And
thing I've
then
ever
it's, Uncle,
seen.
we're doing it. I don't know if I can do it. Unbelievable.
Can't stop watching
So
it.
good.
Tears.
Tears.
Tears,
Yeah.
seriously.
Tears.
I don't-
So good.
I mean, you guys know Ahsoka's my favorite character.
Maybe
probably.
your favorite.
I
Star
mean,
Wars
she's
character,
up
so.
there for sure. She's up there as one of my favorite characters. I still have
be
a hard time. I
controversial.
mean, that's
When
I
I,
see the
say the
headline.
words,
those could be my top 2.
Here's the thing: when we say the words "greatest Jedi," and Yoda's not, Yoda could be knocked off. That's a big
That's
deal,
huge.
man.
That's
deal.
huge.
That's a big deal.
That is
That
huge.
is.
Here's what I'll say. I think one major edge that Yoda has over Ahsoka is what does every great Jedi become is a great master and a great teacher to the next
True.
person coming up. And while we've
I haven't
only
seen that yet.
we haven't seen that yet, and Ahsoka actually says, I'm not the one to teach Grogu.
Grogu.
It's Luke. She sends him to the person that he needs. And
Yeah.
True. We saw her help
we
Ezra.
saw her help a little bit.
Ezra a little bit.
But the things we've seen Master Yoda as a teacher, the way that he has come back
Yeah.
as a Force ghost and helped Luke even in
True.
The Last Jedi, Yoda is kind of the epitome. I think that we all agree that is even though it maybe started with Obi-Wan, as far as the first Jedi master as a teacher we've ever seen in Star Wars was Obi-Wan. He teaches Luke, and that's the way it started. But then we learned, this is the Jedi instructor who instructed me.
Yeah.
No mention of Qui-Gon, unfortunately, in
Right.
the original trilogy. Yoda is known as the epitome of the Jedi Master who teaches the younglings, who teaches the next
Yeah.
generation of Jedi, and is the epitome, I think, of, even though he's made mistakes, we've talked about it. When you think of the wisdom of the Jedi, the first thing you go to is Master Yoda, I think.
Yeah.
As far
We've
as
also seen him fight
the wisdom.
unbelievably.
see him fight unbelievably, but we saw him not be able to destroy.
He didn't take down the Emperor, but he didn't.
But it's also an argument with
wouldn't
the
argue
Mace
he
Windu thing
lost,
that maybe
though,
no
either,
one could
really.
have beaten. Maybe no one could have beaten him.
Maybe not.
It's true.
Because even Yoda essentially says you have to go fight Anakin because you can't beat the Emperor. And he's like, I can't, send me after. And Obi-Wan basically is like, send me to fight the Emperor even though I know I'm going to lose. I'd rather die and fight the Emperor than have to kill Anakin if it comes to it. But so Obi-Wan's kind of assuming like I'm out.
Yeah, Luke's goal wasn't to kill the Emperor.
No.
His goal was to redeem his father.
Luke never did fight the Emperor.
No.
He never did.
Nope.
The
All right, you
only
guys
one
are
that
talking
did
me
that
into it.
was the only one that did defeat him. Really was Vader and throwing him over.
Here's the thing. I thought about this. Which is greater, the fool or the no? Which is greater, the one who sees the flaws in the Jedi
Yeah.
and leaves, or the one who sees the flaws in the Jedi and stays? Because if you leave, you can no longer influence. You have no influence. You have no control.
True.
And you are leaving them to their own failures. Yoda saw the weaknesses of the Jedi, but he was in there to try to continually bring them back, mistakes and all, trying to bring them back. I think
Yeah. Do you
the
think
council
Yoda?
led by vote, so I'm not sure he always.
Yeah.
I don't know if he got his way or not.
Do you think Yoda saw it coming, but still tried to do what he could to maintain what he could?
I don't think so.
Because
I think they were completely. What do you mean coming? You mean Palpatine?
yeah.
I think they didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah.
Mace Windu's best quote, perhaps. I think it's time to inform the Seventh that our abilities to use the Force is diminished.
It's diminished,
Oh, thanks,
yeah.
Mace.
Well, thanks.
Yeah,
You guys are useless now.
the C-3PO
Yeah.
at the Senate there.
There's just
The
isn't there
council.
stuff in
Yeah,
Clone Wars
safety
though
officers.
that kind of hints that Yoda had some knowledge
yeah.
of
Yeah,
that
a
is true.
downfall coming, or some
I
knowledge
think he
of
was
a
weary.
disaster coming? Like he had.
He did say he was the one that said misunderstanding the prophecy. Maybe we have. He was that one. Like,
And they
True.
did.
And
so-
he was open to that.
And
which
to
I
be
would
clear-
say that's positive.
yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, they did. They were not unaware that there was a Darth Sidious out there. They knew there was Darth Sidious out there. Where they
Right.
were unaware is they did not know that it was Palpatine. That's what they
Right.
missed.
Right.
Yoda says the dark side has clouded our vision. He knows the dark side is rising. He knows this
Yeah.
is going on. So yeah, I think you're right though as far as he does sense that something is coming. He doesn't think everything is just great.
Right.
But he also can't sense that
yeah.
evil's on his
He
doorstep.
doesn't know it's
He's right there.
Palpatine, but
In
so
all
yeah,
fairness, it's a pretty big evil.
yeah.
it's the epitome of evil in
like-
Star Wars so far. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the
And
Yeah,
you can
essentially
see
the-
moments there where he didn't trust Palpatine, but he didn't make the connection.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So did you have a final
Okay.
vote there?
I don't know.
I love Ahsoka.
I do too.
Yoda is my vote.
Yeah. Yoda's
Yeah.
my vote.
Same. As much as I love Ahsoka, I love her for reasons of why she does certain things, but just on the resume, there's not enough. There's not enough there to
Yeah.
top Master Yoda as far
He
as
threw some stuff out there that raises the bar for every following. Every name that we bring up, there's now a burden that I think needs to be included, and that is teacher.
Yeah.
For example,
True.
when I say these two, you're going to go, there's no way, but accomplishments and ideals and morality and positivity and growth and natural ability, lineage, all that stuff plays a part in the name I'm going to throw out, and that is Yoda versus Rey.
It's
Now,
funny
first
you
you're
were
like,
gonna
well, that's
say that.
easy, but
No, it's funny you're gonna
there's
say
a
that
lot,
because
there's a lot there.
when we first started talking, we threw out the greatest.
yeah,
One of my first thoughts was Rey,
mine
because
too.
yeah.
there's a side of Rey that reminds me of Anakin and Luke, and the fact that they use their emotion for good.
Yes.
Now, you could argue, well, Jedi aren't supposed to tap into their emotion. They're supposed to hold that off. But as we've seen,
That's what's
was that part of where they went wrong? I think it is.
I think it
because
is.
Luke using his emotion is what allowed him to redeem Vader.
That's right.
And Rey, say what you want about the character and how she got her powers from the lineage and all that, but truth of the matter is, she was very powerful.
Yeah.
And her connection, a dyad in the Force, I still don't even fully understand everything about that because I
That's
haven't
right,
read
yeah.
some of the comics that go deeper into that. So,
And who of anyone had a stronger pull to the dark side to resist?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
mean,
here's the
maybe Luke,
thing.
but
I think I give her points too because Luke sensed good in Vader, and that could be what led him to feel like I can redeem him because I can sense that there's still good in him. I know that there's good in him. Whereas Luke, also as powerful as he was, did not sense the same thing in Kylo.
No.
Thought Kylo is gone. Now, sure, was his brief moment of weakness and igniting the saber and stuff,
Yeah.
it still passed, right? And he still made the mistake. But just because it passed doesn't mean it passed because he thought this is wrong, not because he thought
He was wrong.
this is still, not because he thought there is good in him. He still thought there was no good in him.
Right.
He just thought the decision I'm making right here
Yeah,
in
I
this
need to
moment
go a
is
different
wrong.
way.
He
Yeah.
still saw no good in him.
It actually, too, to
And
build on
Rey
that, it
did.
actually mirrors. I was rewatching this too. You know, it's filmed, even like frame by frame, the same way that Luke looks at his hand in Return of the Jedi.
And, yeah.
Is that he
Yep.
thinks of striking down Vader,
And he
has
stops.
the saber, and he looks down in his hand, and it's the exact same thing
Yeah,
he does.
exactly.
So again, it's one of those consistency things.
Right.
This is something that he's done
He's
before.
been there
People
before.
ask like, how could
Right.
possibly happen?
Well, that raises another
But-
point.
I was just going to say real quick, to tie that to Rey, even though Luke did sense the good in Kylo. It could
right.
be because they were a dyad in the Force, so she would had a stronger connection with him, but she went through everything to try and turn him, and she was able to.
Yep. That's good. It
That's
raises
points.
the point, though, and this is something to consider. Which is greater? Not the fool thought. Which is greater, that who resists temptation or that who is never tempted?
So
He has resisted the temptation twice. That actually is an overcomer.
yes,
That
If
is.
you don't ever face temptation, you have
don't know.
demonstrated the
And
ability
I
to
would
overcome.
say
Yeah.
they're all faced with temptation,
They are.
right?
They are.
We're all faced with temptation.
Yep.
They're faced with temptation.
Yep.
It's almost
Rey's
it
was
would
different.
be false if
Rey's
you
is
said
different.
Rey has different temptation.
Yeah.
Her temptation is different. And a lot of it comes from who am I?
Yeah.
What part do I play in this? I don't even know I have these powers.
You know what else Ray?
Like-
you know what else Ray was drawn by? What was the thing she wanted most in the world?
family,
Family.
community.
Family.
Yeah.
And the one person that could actually give it to her was the epitome of evil.
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say this. So
Man.
we talked about their decisions, their raw power, their care for others, their circumstances. I think their circumstances of what they were born into is very much plays a part in this now. Because now when we're getting major points for Rey, I would argue no one has had she has the parallels to, okay, she's a scavenger on a desert planet. Luke's a farm boy, desert planet, doesn't have
Yeah,
essentially
sure.
his actual family there. There's parallels there. Luke finds out his father is Darth Vader and still chooses to go. And so this is, again, the
Right.
parallels here. Despite the fact that he finds out and this is big points for both of them, despite the fact that he finds out that his dad is Darth Vader, who at the time is the face of evil in the galaxy. We don't know a ton about the Emperor at that time, but Darth Vader is the guy.
He is.
He's slaying Jedi. He's
Yeah.
helping the Empire. He's the killing machine for the Empire.
Right.
And he goes and faces him, finds out this truth, and despite Obi-Wan and Yoda saying, especially Obi-Wan saying that you need to go kill him, he's I can't do that, but I think that I know there's good in him. I'm going to go turn him. Then you have Rey, who the thing she wanted most in the entire world is feeling like she belongs in that she belongs and that she's important.
And
She
got a
said,
part
"I
to
don't
play."
know my place in the story. Everyone thinks they know me. No one does. I don't. And essentially, I don't even know myself. I'm trying to learn what my part is in this story. What she says to Kylo. I'm just looking for someone to find my place in all of this.
She tells Luke that. Yeah,
And
that's great.
Yeah.
She
Yeah, too.
and Kylo does the whole extends his hand and he manipulates her and
Yeah.
says, "Yeah, you're nothing. You're nobody, but not to me." And it's like
Well,
this
not to me.
backhanded, like you're nothing, but come with me and I can show you your place in all
Right.
this.
Yeah.
She then finds she's told in The Last Jedi that the thing she wants most in the world isn't
Doesn't exist.
Never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
People you're waiting for aren't coming back, and then also that's what Maz tells her in episode 7. But then in episode 8, she looks in the mirror, the whole snap thing. The thing she wanted was you have to rely on yourself. That's it. There's
Right.
no one. There's no Obi-Wan who's gonna come down and say, "Hey, you're my great granddaughter, and you're great because I was great," or "You're
Right.
Luke's daughter because of this and this."
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the final piece of the story is, no, not only are you not coming from some great Jedi lineage, you
actually
are a
telling-
spawn from the epitome of evil.
Right.
The worst of all time. You even find out that not only do you have, in another backhanded Kylo compliment, you don't just have power, you have his power. Basically, like, you can't even control this. Lightning's coming out of your hands. You have the most evil power in the whole galaxy, and despite all of this stuff stacked against her, she chooses the light
Yeah.
side. Where Ben has Jedi blood, Leia's blood, and Han Solo, war general, hero, and chooses evil. He is this. He has grown up in a place of heroes of the rebellion. His mother is the general, was a princess, all of
Right,
this stuff.
right.
And because of his greed,
Your uncle's Luke.
yeah, and because of his greed and also the manipulations of Snoke, he chooses, despite the fact that I've got it and my uncle is Luke Skywalker,
That's right.
I choose evil because that's
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah.
And hers is despite the fact that I have no one. No one is showing me any
Right.
of this stuff. I'm not even getting any proper training, essentially.
Yeah.
Eventually, Leia helps her with her training a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah.
But getting no training, none of this stuff.
I thought about it.
I'm always thinking of that.
I was thinking that.
But
yeah.
the fact that the chips are stacked against her and she chooses to overcome all
Yeah.
that, I think is a huge, huge leg up
Yeah.
for her when it comes to a
I
lot
think-
of this stuff.
I agree. And I think one more point, too, for Rey, points up, which I was thinking about this yesterday. She did something no one else has ever done. She actually put an end to Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only one that actually put an end to Palpatine. Now, you could argue, like, Vader, but, I mean, there's no Jedi.
With Kylo. Right.
With Kylo. With Kylo's help, yeah.
She stood in the gap
But
there to do it.
right, Kylo helped, but the actual action is her taking on the Emperor one-on-one there at the end. Like, I mean, the Jedi are on her side,
Right.
and she is all the Jedi, right?
Yep.
But she is the one following through
Standing
with
there.
that. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's points, but it can't be negative. But yeah, I
It's
mean
just
that's
so hard to decide on these.
I asked
That's
myself,
tough.
is the teaching part now? Does that still
right. Now that's hard for
Hold
Rey too
sway.
because she's at the point now where she's never had the chance to teach really.
Right.
So we haven't seen that far into now. If Finn is a Force user, we could see that teaching coming into
Exactly.
play. If there's other Jedi out there, we could
New
see
Jedi
that teaching.
Academy
New
possibly
Jedi
coming.
Academy. So we could see that coming. We can't. I don't know.
Man, I'm thinking about Yoda's death now. He died in obscurity on Dagobah. Like, he never did come and redeem. Never did come back. Never
He trains Luke, but doesn't get back in
never
the fight.
came back in. Never, ever came back. Luke
Yeah.
came back in. Obi-Wan came back in.
He came back in through Force Ghost. That was about it.
He did.
But he played a role. Same with Obi-Wan. Played a role. Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
And I think we'll see more of that.
yeah.
I think
Isn't
we'll
that
see more
funny
of
how Yoda though dies and disappears on an island, and Luke does the same thing?
Yes.
Again, the parallels are
The
just
parallels are
so many
so-
parallels.
Luke goes
And
out
I love that.
But
I love
he
that.
goes
bit
out.
of a more glorious.
He saves the
Yeah.
rebellion that day,
Yeah,
the resistance.
right.
He knew that Rey is not the Jedi are not over because they have what they
Man,
need.
Are the three people watching now, their heads going to explode if I actually say Ray? Because I
It's-
am.
well,
I'm going to
and-
say Ray.
And Ray, think about this. Ray,
Ray.
do we
Ray
know
over
the
Yoda.
extent of
What was
Ray?
the vote? Ray over Yoda?
Yeah.
Do we know the extent of Rey's knowledge of the Force? She's reading the ancient Jedi texts. She's learning about.
She's sitting there levitating like this. Like she's extremely powerful.
And people kind of
Rise
knock that, but
Skywalker.
wasn't there like a few year gap there or something?
There's at least a full year gap.
Yeah, so that's
episode 7 to episode
that's more
7 to
training than
episode
Luke
8
got
is
with Yoda.
immediate.
It's
Yeah.
you
more
got
training than
27
Luke got with
minutes.
Yoda that she had with Leia. So
You got from the time it takes to get from Tatooine to
Yeah.
Yeah.
what was left of
right. So she had a good amount of training there. I mean,
did.
it wasn't going from a youngling to a master, but
put
it was.
for pressure in the moment and all that stuff to be willing to go and basically face death.
I think that's.
I
I don't know.
I say Ray.
I can see that. I can see it.
Man, I think I'm leaning
so
towards
hard.
Ray right now too. Where I think going into
She used
it, I
Force
would've said-
lightning. Is that down points?
Man, she thought she killed Chewie.
Thought she killed Chewie. Down
That
points.
was the. If we got to give acting props, I mean, sorry,
Dude,
Frank.
oh my gosh! Yeah,
but
her acting.
not Caliendo. Oz.
I know Frank Oz there.
I mean, Daisy.
Kelly, no, not this time.
Daisy's
All
on
the
a
acting
different
in that.
level.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna go with
Going Ray.
Ray. My family.
I don't know.
Waiting for my family.
I'm gonna go Yoda on
Oh, you guys are gonna
on
make
the
me
fact.
decide this.
I'm gonna go Yoda.
You're the Greg Brady. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Yoda on the fact that we have seen a lot more of Yoda's teaching. We
Yeah.
haven't seen that from Ray, so
we
I'm not gonna dock Ray for points for that, but we just haven't seen it
got a
yet.
more full
I'm sure it's
picture.
there. I'm sure it's there. We just haven't seen that told yet, so I can't write it in stone.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
just
know.
became the Ryan Johnson of the Star Wars
Yeah.
guys. Picking Ray over Yoda. What's wrong with this guy?
I love it. And as big of a Ryan Johnson.
I also
fan
just
as I am.
love the teachings too that Yoda passes on. That's part of my favorite part about him, and that we just haven't been able to see that yet with
haven't.
Ray.
Man,
I keep going back to Puppet Yoda and Empire. I can't.
Although
Go.
I will say,
It's always
maybe
troubling
wait
to
a
me.
second. Now I'm going crazy.
It's always troubling.
Ray was also, even though we didn't see her train any Padawan, in a way, with Yoda's help, but Ray was a huge significance of redeeming Luke there in the end. She had a big part to play of snapping Luke out of it.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Huge part, and I think that's major points too.
It's big.
She brought Luke,
Luke
back
Skywalker,
in.
she
Luke couldn't
she
bring Yoda
brought
back
Luke
in.
back in the game.
Luke didn't bring Yoda back in. She brought
Yeah.
Luke back in.
She brought Luke back in the game. I think that's big points too. Gosh dang
Oh, man.
it.
She actually kind of brought Han back in, too.
That's true.
True. You don't
Han and
have the
Chewie.
moment.
It's true. They were out there with Contra Club, and now they're back in the Empire, back in the
That's
Rebellion.
true.
Gosh, I keep
She
Oh,
trained
man.
under Leia. I mean,
What are we gonna do?
changing my mind sitting
I
here.
mean-
I
I'm
know.
Like, I was like, I think I gotta go Ray, and I was like, but Yoda's. When
Yoda's
I think of
Yoda.
the Jedi, when I think of the Yoda, when I think of the wisdom, the reason I know
feels
what leads to
silly.
the dark
Yeah.
side is because of Yoda.
right.
Yeah,
Quickly, I just have to decide. I'm gonna say Yoda,
Yoda.
even though it's.
There's not
49
enough Ray yet, I
It's
feel like.
51-49 right now on my.
Yeah,
And I
agree.
wouldn't think, but there's so much that I think there's so much that Ray did that affects the other people that are on the list of.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
There's so much that she did that affects Luke, and we know
Right.
Luke is in the conversation. And
Right.
There's so much there. Man. Yeah, I'll
Throw it out there.
have to stick. I'll stick with.
I'm gonna
Yoda
throw
so I
one.
don't talk, so I
Right,
don't
Yoda
talk
moves
myself
on.
out.
We kind of all looked at each other when it was brought up, but Leia, throw her in the mix. I feel like we haven't seen enough of her.
Well, she chose a
one.
different
Tough.
path.
It's a
She
tough
chose
one.
a different path, but you could argue that that's points. She kind of knew her part to play, and chose a path that she probably saw as the most influential and the most beneficial to create. Talk about teaching, creating leaders of the rebellion, of
Right.
the resistance,
Yep.
setting the path for Poe, for Finn. I mean, she taught, and then we find out wait a second. Luke did train me a lot with the
Luke.
Force, and she trained Rey, who we're just now saying is possibly the greatest. So I don't know. I don't think we've seen enough of her.
I would
Maybe
still
abilities,
have to say
but-
her impact, other than training, is limited as a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her training impact was massive, but maybe didn't have the impact
Sure.
in other ways.
We just
Sure.
didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
May-
if so, we haven't seen it.
She may
Yeah.
have. If
She may have. We haven't seen enough of that.
I mean, when they had to rewrite after Carrie Fisher
Yeah.
died,
Yeah.
we
Because
may have
episode 9 was supposed to
seen-
be Leia's movie.
we may
Right.
have seen something completely different.
Yeah.
I would,
I agree.
I would go with Yoda.
I have to stick
Yeah,
with Yoda,
Yoda.
too.
Leia, though,
To I had to throw it out there.
Yeah.
I got to
there's not
throw
a-
out the next one that we're all thinking, which is Ben Solo.
Oh,
Ben
No,
Solo.
short-lived, but very big impact.
big impact.
Very big impact.
Big impact there at the end.
His
But no, turning to
History
the dark
has-
side is always a big negative.
killing more people than anybody else in the world has is
You,
not a good.
It's a tough one.
good.
As I've said earlier, killing Han Solo drops you to the bottom of my list.
Yeah,
True.
blowing up 5 planets at once
Killing
Yeah.
a
drops you to the
character
bottom of
hurts
the
it.
list.
For sure.
Tarkin, Vader, they blew up one.
They did. One. They were
Kylo's
working on
blowing
another
up.
one.
Kylo's blowing up 6, 7 planets
6,
at one
7.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Not very good.
Not
very
good at all.
Honorable mentions. We
Snoke.
love us. I love myself some Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon's not going to beat Yoda.
I
is
just
he?
think the resume is just not there, but I love that we talked about acknowledging the Jedi orders, the Jedi Council especially, but the
Yeah.
Jedi Order in general, acknowledging their faults, but didn't leave. I think the difference
leave.
he
Right.
did
Didn't
not,
leave.
Did
Stayed
not leave
involved.
the order. He just
Tried
was like,
to
I'm
make
not,
the
we're not going
im-
to cozy up to
Yep, I
the
agree.
council.
He tried to stay and have the impact that he could.
I agree.
And he stuck his neck out. Stuck his neck out
Yeah.
for Anakin, which
Anakin.
on the surface you could say obviously Anakin led to a lot of
Didn't pan
destruction,
out.
but he also defeats. Again, I know eventually Emperor comes back, cloning, all that stuff, but the Emperor
He
is
defeated him.
defeated as far as the Empire is
Yeah.
defeated
For sure.
because of Anakin Skywalker.
And you could argue that
And it's because of Luke Skywalker.
had Qui-Gon done the training,
Yes.
it may have averted all of that.
May have
Could.
read all of it.
Yeah.
In
Could have been
fact,
the
it's-
greatest.
It's the fact
Could have
that
been the
Qui-Gon
greatest.
did not get to train him is the reason why Anakin.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because who knows what Palpatine, watching his career with great interest, who knows what Palpatine would have done just the moment he senses that a Force-sensitive kid is aboard, is
Yeah.
in Coruscant. I don't know if Palpatine gives two rips if the Jedi Council are going to train him.
Nope.
He's got his. He all of a sudden is
Sure.
like, okay, here's a scared little boy that I can
sounds
influence. And
good.
if he's sent
Yeah.
home, Palpatine's not going to forget about that. He'll
No
go find
way.
him, and
Yep.
so it's either train with us or probably go straight to the dark side. Is
Yeah.
probably what it could have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Good honorable mention.
Who's
Are
left?
we gonna say the L word?
There we go.
Leia. Oh wait, we did that.
Lando was not a Jedi.
Lando.
Yoda, Luke.
You got to go to Luke. I think. Luke.
Luke.
We talked earlier about a lot of.
Is
we,
that
we
just
started
released?
this
Luke
whole
was
thing.
never my favorite, like a flock of doves.
Flock of doves.
And we started this conversation with Luke. I think
Yeah.
before we even
Favorite
did the
doesn't
bracket.
mean not greatest. Just be
True.
clear.
It's not who you gravitated towards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you also gravitated towards Han, who's not even in the
Not a
running. He's not
Jedi at all.
Jedi.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
We didn't
Favorite-
say greatest
yeah.
character. We said greatest Jedi.
Chris
Yeah.
Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah.
you see
You can
what
completely dislike the character.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean they're not the greatest.
that's right. The
Without-
greatest
for
Sith.
sure.
That
You
could be our
weren't the
next-
biggest fan of Yoda either, really,
No.
at the
But
time.
is he the greatest Jedi?
Is he the greatest Jedi? Possibly.
That could be a good another greatest Sith. Okay,
That'll be
Next
that'd be a fun
time
one.
on.
next time on.
Without it becoming a 24-hour long podcast,
Yeah.
I'll give the
what?
short.
Are we gonna
the
do that
short-
this year?
I think
we
have
should.
To.
Star Wars Day.
If we can't go there for Star Wars, the convention
Celebration?
we'll do a 24
on that day.
on
Well,
that day.
We will celebrate Star Wars for 24 hours. That
24
is
hours, that's
our.
right.
yeah.
Some of it on the air, some of it off the air.
Some of it all. Guess.
Luke,
Luke and Yoda.
Positives.
the positives, very obvious positives as far as the
Redeemed
sticks his neck.
Vader.
He goes at lengths, even defies instruction to save his friends always.
Save his friends always.
If he has an opportunity to save his friends, he will.
Yep.
He does that even when Yoda's telling him patience,
Sure.
you're not ready, and he said, I'm not afraid, I need to go, I need to go save my friends in Bespin, and then I need to go confront my
Sure.
father. And Ben said, you better go to kill him. He said, I'm not going to kill him.
Nope.
That's not
Right,
it.
yeah.
We could even go even farther back. Leads the initial rescue of Princess Leia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destroys the first Death Star.
So his Death Star.
He's got a lot of accomplishments.
A lot going on.
He's a legend.
Then that's all before we get to,
Right.
let's do even just canon-wise, or
Right.
just timeline-wise of what he does in Mando.
That's exactly right.
When he displays his ultimate, he displays a
Yeah,
whole nother
goes into
level
another
of
level.
power.
Yeah.
Then when he does in Last Jedi, of just the whole force projecting, we've talked about that stuff, right? But that's a level of force use that we've never even
Yeah.
come close to seeing at that time of
And
not
to
being there.
and to Luke's favor, whereas Yoda did not come back in to the fray,
Came back in.
Luke
Came
did.
back in.
He made
Yep.
a re-emergence,
Right. 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 He
and
came back.
demonstrated the ability to teach, even though flaws there.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Flaws for sure, but Yoda had flaws. Yoda trained Dooku. Dooku didn't turn out right.
That's exactly right.
So I mean,
There's one thing in common. They all of the greatest Jedi have students who turned.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily
have.
on you.
Because what does Yoda say? The greatest teacher failure is.
Failure is.
They are what we are
Right.
what they grow beyond.
Right.
That we can only
Luke.
same
yeah.
thing for parents as their kids go off to college or their kids grow up is I can only hold your hand for so long. I just hope that the things that
right.
I taught you is as best as I could, and then at some point kids make their own choices.
Right.
And
Yep.
you're Jedi or
Luke.
choose
yeah.
to follow the light or they choose to lean towards the dark, and it's
Yep.
not necessarily always a reflection on which again the Kenobi series is going to dive into a lot.
Oh,
I think
man.
as far as
sure.
was it things went wrong or was it that it was inevitable? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter who was doing it. It was.
Right.
I'm ready to
So
vote.
I think I'm ready to vote too.
Should we just say it on 3?
No.
Do you have a vote?
I have a
I'm
vote.
thinking.
Do we need more discussion?
I do not. I'm ready to say it.
Why don't we just say L
I got it.
or Y?
All right.
So we'll say 1, 2,
Should we do it for
3,
the camera here?
Y, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and if you don't watch the video, you won't know who you voted for.
Yeah. So start watching.
So,
This is our way. This is our way to.
Frank, if you
Right.
got this far,
You got this far.
Pop over
I
and watch
can't remember.
the
I
video.
can't keep track. Are we talking Frank Oz?
Caliendo.
Ah,
Caliendo.
I really thought Frank Oz was
Darn.
listening to our podcast.
Darn.
Who would love? I'm sure Frank Oz is loving our debate of.
Yeah.
Hey,
versus
I'll tell you
Luke.
what, Ryan Johnson has to get Frank
All right.
Oz into all 3 of the.
Yeah,
I got mine.
Okay, you do?
Yeah.
So, Luke, is that an L?
What's it look like to the camera? This way? This way?
Okay.
For the camera?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why?
So is it 1, 2, 3, bang?
Reveal.
Is it on bang or is it 1, 2, 3?
It's on bang.
It's on bang.
We won't say bang. We'll say,
I like it.
ready? Are we ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
1,
1, 2,
2, 3.
Luke.
Oh, look
did
at this.
We did it.
It's a Star Wars miracle.
This is Star
It's
Wars.
a specifically Luke holiday special.
It's a holiday special miracle.
Turn.
It's hard.
We never brought in Kanan Jarrus, but that's...
Oh,
Is Kanan going to beat Luke or
he's
Yoda?
not going to beat Luke.
No,
but
he's not going to beat Luke.
Favorite,
But I honestly
That's a
think
different vote.
there's
I
a
love
lot of
Kanan.
stuff
I
about
remember
Kanan
Kanan
that you
I
could
love.
argue. He's up there.
Love the
He's
He's a
character.
teacher too.
Ultimate
You don't get anywhere
teacher.
near what Ezra becomes without
Selfless.
teaching of Kanan.
selfless.
I mean, is there
This
another
is-
blind Jedi?
No.
I mean, no, who's more in touch?
That's talk about power.
Talk about
Who's
yes.
more in touch?
power. Yeah,
That's a,
Amazing.
that's a
man.
great honorable.
The
And
blind shield
coming
thing on,
from
I can't
someone-
even see. How am I supposed to fight?
It's even more impressive
Shut
too.
up,
Coming
Kanan Jarrus
from,
did this.
it's more impressive too for him to not have. He didn't really have a trainer. He did as a kid.
Yeah, but not
As a youngling, he had a trainer. he was never really even a Padawan. Like, he didn't even get the opportunity to really grow up with a trainer at an older age.
He was
like,
similar to Grogu.
Ray didn't have it at a younger age, but had it at as an older age. Luke
He had to
it
suppress his powers.
Older age.
Yeah.
older age.
Kanan had to suppress his powers because he was on the run, similar to Grogu. It was like, I can't tune into the
Yeah.
Force. I can't do this stuff.
Yoda or Ahsoka had to do
Quick
that.
question.
Some too.
It's a long podcast. Quick question. Who actually has the advantage in staying to the light? Those who are trained as younglings or those who are trained as older? Who has a better track record?
That's good. Because I
That's
think
true.
We know what they say, but actually, who has a better?
that is.
That might be a podcast for the.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
For the,
good.
we don't know all the numbers. There's probably
Right.
a lot of younglings in the Clone Wars era
Tons.
that grew up and went to the council
Jedi money.
that lived out their days in the
money,
Jedi.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He probably was
Plo
born into
Koon.
it.
I mean,
Koon.
these guys.
Yeah.
Best Jedi name. We got to have a discussion about that at some
That's
point.
true too. Yeah.
Definitely.
Loden Greatstorm.
Man.
That's your bracket right there. That's
That's it.
it.
But yeah, Luke.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
Dirk Starkiller is the winner.
Avar Chris.
Yeah. Avar Chris. Yeah. But yeah, Luke had a lot of stuff stacked against him throughout his entire life.
Yeah.
and overcame a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, he came back in the game.
Got back
Every
in.
Jedi had failures. Luke some of the failures he had were things that he had been seen and witnessed from Yoda, his master.
Yep.
That he thought, well, shoot, Yoda did it. It's my time to go into hiding. I failed. This
Luke
is what we
also-
do.
Luke also has
That's right. That's how you do it.
has a quote which increasingly is becoming maybe my favorite Jedi quote of all time, which is used in the promotion of Rise of Skywalker, which is confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi.
Yep.
And he says your destiny to Rey. But that sums up a
man.
lot of what a Jedi is
really
as far
is.
as at the heart of it, and who embodies
Confronting fear.
who is the epitome of that more than Luke Skywalker of
That's
like
right.
Which,
my
not about
father,
winning or
the
losing.
Emperor.
Which,
it's
yeah.
not about
Confronting
I
fear.
have
Right.
to confront my fear.
in a sense, you could argue is slightly away from what the Jedi
It is.
order was teaching, because they say we don't abide by fear. We don't
right.
fear. He's acknowledging there is fear, and it's confronting that fear that really gets you past the point of leaning towards the dark side.
Yeah.
You're not being negligent to the fact that there is fear and saying, "Oh,
We're
well,
not
we
trying
don't
to be-
fear.
we're not
We
trying to
don't
be
fear
Vulcans and
anything."
pretend.
No, it's
Yes.
fear is there.
Which
And you're
is
gonna
what
confront
which was
it.
the path they took in episode 1 when they're in the sub and they're acting like nothing is going on.
Exactly.
Sure.
There was a disconnect there when you're watching it. Like,
Yeah.
get what they're doing. It just feels weird.
It just feels
Yeah.
weird. And it's like the final note on that whole thing too is it's the opposite of what Obi-Wan, Yoda too, when they're saying he's not ready, but Obi-Wan and a little bit of Yoda in episodes 5 and 6, they're afraid of what happens when Luke goes and confronts Vader.
Yes.
You're not ready. We're afraid this is going to happen.
That's
and he's,
exactly
and
right.
he's ready to confront it. He's, I'm
Right.
listen. I'm not. I won't fail. I'm
That's
not
right.
afraid of this. I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen, but what you're afraid of, you don't have to be afraid of. And even though it comes close, he's right. He doesn't. He does not. The Emperor can't turn.
No. The only thing he feared in that moment was the threat to Leia. The threat to his friends.
Yeah.
That's the moment
That's
he
the
feared.
thing, is that he
Yeah.
said
That's the only moment he feared. He didn't actually fear going against really Vader or Palpatine.
Luke's also he's also
It
the
was
one
knowing
that's
that there was collateral that came with his name that
That's
he
right.
thought, I'm not okay with.
I can't let them do it because
Luke, and I will say, and this is a little tangent, but Anakin does it a lot in Clone Wars, of similar mindset of Luke. Is yes, I understand the risks, but what we're counting as failure is unacceptable to me.
Exactly.
Luke's like,
true.
yeah, I know you're afraid that if I go, I might turn to the dark side, but we know with 100% certainty that if I go, Han and Leia are dead.
yeah, and I'm not.
And that's
taking
that risk is worth it for me.
Yeah.
Anakin, there's
Does the same
multiple
thing.
times.
I'm not willing to lose
in
clones.
Anakin, he's
They
like,
clones, but I'm not willing to lose
I'm
them.
going to go save Ahsoka, or I'm going to go
That's right.
save Obi-Wan,
That's similar.
even at the risk of the council and everybody saying, stop, let him go, do this. He said, no, it's not a lost cause. Or I'm not, I refuse to do that. And he shows that what they thought was impossible was possible. And you
Yeah.
bring him back, and same thing Luke
Yeah.
did. But yeah, confronting fear, destiny of a Jedi.
True.
Love it.
Great.
Love it.
It's also the destiny of our podcast, confronting fear.
And if you're listening or watching at home, I'm sure you were afraid that you could not make it 3.5 hours. But you confronted your fear.
But
Or maybe you didn't.
If you lasted this long, you've made it through our first official video podcast. Video
we,
podcast. We're going to be
Season
posting it
3,
on
episode
YouTube.
1.
Can we have a tradition where we throw out some code at the end? Just if you just hit us up on social media and just shout that code, we'll know you were a diehard.
Let us know you made it.
Completed
True.
we should call these marathon casts, or like what's the
It'll
what's
be,
the code? Let's make the code Asajj Ventress. L L Okay.
L.
No. Yeah.
L.
In our comment section,
L
if
for
you
Luke.
did the,
You
Yeah,
L for
let
Luke.
us know if you made
If you
it.
commented
Not L for
L for
loser.
Luke,
L for Luke.
that'll be the code. L for Luke.
L for Luke.
L for Luke.
DM us on Instagram. This,
L
if
for
you
Luke.
made it all the way to the end of the podcast, we know that you saw us vote, and you saw the end of our
And while you're at it, give us your vote. Who is
Your vote. Where'd
the
we go wrong?
greatest Jedi?
Yeah.
Who's the greatest Jedi? We always want to know your thoughts. We always want to know your thoughts. If you've got questions, certain topics you want us to talk about on the podcast, we welcome all of it. Today we dove into Bad Batch, wrapped up a little bit of the Bad Batch for season 1, and we got into some fun Star Wars questions, which we'll have to address more moving forward.
Don't you also love that we just took one of those questions and went
And went forever.
2 hours with it
Yeah.
or whatever we did?
Love
That's
it.
I
That's
love
right.
it. What a way to kick off season 3. I said it. Season 3 of the podcast.
That's right.
Season 3 of Mando may be coming out, but season 3 of Star Wars Guys
Mando
is
Maybes.
out. Mando
That's
Maybes.
right. That's right.
Out.
You can find us now on
Right here. You see us.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
On YouTube. If you're watching, like we said, hit those comments. Let us know if you made it this far. Star Wars Guys on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast on any of those podcast streaming platforms,
podcasts
Star
are
Wars
heard.
Guys. Star Wars Guys. And you can find us on Instagram @_Star Wars Guys. Like I said, feel free to message us with any questions, topics that you want. Let us know who's the greatest Jedi. And as always, may the Force be with you.
That was supposed to be a malfunctioning R2. I had decided, and then I just went with that. And that's the guy in the robe. You know him well.
If you made it this far and you enjoyed that episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend about us here at Star Wars Guys. Your support is much appreciated, and it never goes unnoticed. We'll see you all in the next episode.